What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Another Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matthew, and I'm joined by my two beautiful co-hosts. Introduce yourselves, my gents.
Matthew, we're recording! Oh my goodness! Well, I'm Andrew.
It's the holidays. I wanted to be extra dark.
Oh my.
Extra flattery.
You're jingling my bells, that's for sure.
That's funny.
Comedy, ladies and gentlemen, is what we do here at the AM Podcast.
And your third host is Rico De Gallo.
Oh. Hi, guys.
I'm feeling pretty built up on my confidence after that. It was actually really nice. I needed that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. taking credit for that.
Just a smidgen. Just a smidgen.
We got a doozy of an episode here for you guys today. Who did the last recommendation? I believe it was you, Andrew.
It was I, indeed. Indubitably.
Yes. You did our first trilogy recommendation.
I did. I'm very... Well, technically, our first trilogy was the Sonyverse stuff, but that's not even like an actual trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing no one wanted to recommend.
Just
but
canonically.
for the moment thing that happened to work out.
That is true. I just wanted to acknowledge the technical trilogy. I can't talk.
Canonicity.
Canonicity.
That's not a real word.
It's not even it's not a real trilogy.
The point is, I wanted to acknowledge the canon trilogy.
It's not a real word, not a real trilogy.
Yeah, that's fair. I just wanted to be nice. But anyways, today...
take it away, man.
I got you guys. So today, we are going to be doing my recommended movie trilogy for our 10th episode, which is the John Wick trilogy. Very excited. Yes, let us clap. Clap. Yes, good sir. Good sir. 10th episode, baby.
Double digits.
Woo! So yeah. All right. So we might as well just get right into it, right? So
yeah. How do you guys want to? I mean, we have 3 movies. We can do a movie each. I think since you recommended them, you should choose which order they get introduced in.
Well, just to keep it simple, we can just do 1, 2, 3, just to not get confused down the line or have to explain.
Oh yeah,
not have to explain any
order.
certain plot points or just be like if we're talking about the second one, then we need to bring something up for the first one, and then it just makes more sense for us to talk about the first one.
Gotcha.
So let's get into it. John Wick 1. For those who haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but I'm hoping you've seen these movies by now. They've been out for what, almost
3 years.
like 3-4 years, something like that. They've all been out technically.
Yeah, the first one started in 2014, and yeah, so it's about to be 2023. The fourth one's about to come out in March. 3 months. So yeah, it's pretty good timing for you to recommend these.
Damn right.
So, yeah.
Damn right.
So yeah, let's get into into that plot description, man.
Yep. So with the first John Wick, for those who haven't seen it, it is about the title character John Wick, who recently had his wife pass away from. They don't really explain what it was, but it was natural causes. They don't say if it's like cancer or like a brain hemorrhage. Like they just said that she passed away from natural causes.
Yeah, she got sick.
And so John buries her. This is like the beginning of the movie. He buries her. She leaves him one last gift. And that gift was a very cute beagle puppy named Daisy. And I gotta tell you guys, when I was watching this movie again for this episode, I was like, oh, Daisy's so cute. And I was like, oh, God, I'm not ready for what happens next. I forgot how cute she was.
Poor Daisy.
Yeah, so Daisy was a gift, which is...
Full spoiler discussion.
Yep, 100%. We're going in
Let's get that out of the way right now.
You had enough time.
Even with our plot descriptions.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter. It's in the trailers. So, I actually want to get into that first. I really liked that opening because with, like, John Wick dealing with the funeral and his wife passing, he doesn't say anything for like maybe the first 5-6 minutes of the movie. It's just all his facial expressions, which I want to give Keanu props for.
Yeah,
because you really see his like acting shine through in this one, because he's not saying like I'm sad. He's showing that he's sad. Like he's being friendly with like the funeral guests or whatever, but you can kind of see he's just like he's distant and he's gone.
Yeah,
because his wife, whose name was Helen, forgot to mention that, was like very important to him and kind of like changed who he was in a sense, and we'll get more into detail with that. So I just want to bring that up first because I thought that was really interesting. But what did you think, Matt? How did you feel about like the opening with like John kind of dealing with all this trauma, getting the dog? How did you feel about that?
Yeah, upon rewatching it this time around, I definitely found more appreciation through it. What I really like about this intro is that it does convey like a lot of information in such a short amount of time. Kind of similar to the best way I think the best example of like the amount of emotions that we've seen in a movie in a short period of time. I think one of the gold standards is Pixar's Up, where
that's a good example.
That's a good one to bring up.
Yeah, where we see, you know, I'm blanking on their names right now, but you know, we see their whole lives.
Little man.
Yeah, like I said, I'm blanking on their names right now.
I don't remember the names either, but
I can't either.
Yeah, the intro where you see them grow up, and you know, he eventually has the spoiler for Up, but yeah, she passes away, and you know, we get to see that whole process and whatnot. But yeah, we get to see a whole life span in a matter of 5 minutes. But you know, in this movie, you know, we kind of get to see a span of emotions. We get to see John at a vulnerable point in his life where you know, he's taking it easy. He is kind of, you know, put the Baba Yaga stuff behind him. He's trying to move on. He's trying to, you know, he's trying to be happy. From what it seems like, you know, Helen, but that's her name, correct?
Helen, the wife, yeah.
Yeah. Helen seems like a safe haven for him, but yeah, that is also like a slight criticism I have too. I do kind of wish I saw a little bit more of that. So I had like a little bit more of a connection there. But you know, I still think it works for what it is. It still gets the point across very well. I still feel like this film has strong emotional beats in it, even without that beginning. We'll get into more of those scenes later on, but you know, as an intro, I really liked it. It introduces us to our character, and if I was going into this movie and I didn't see any trailers whatsoever, I would assume this is going to be a very sad movie.
Yeah.
Just you know, how it starts off. When it gets into the action, it's like, okay, we're going 110 miles per hour now.
Yeah. We are crawling, now we're like running. Yeah, like, that's kind of how the movie feels. Which is picked up. It's like, a compliment. Boom. It's not like a. You could say it's a slight criticism pacing wise, but overall, I think it's still like really well done for the most part. It's not
I think it flies by. Like I think the intro gets to the point very fast. I like how we get to. I like how it's like an onion. We get to peel more layers back of John. We get to see more as we progress. And, you know, I like how we get to see that vulnerable side first. And, you know, we get to see a lot of reaction shots first. We're like, oh my God. Like, you know, we get to see just based off people's reactions. This dude has a past. He's notarized to a huge extent. Okay, I'm sorry. I rambled on for quite a minute, but yeah, I want to hear what you have to say, Rico. Yeah, what did you think of how this movie started, or what do you want to get into?
I feel like you got a really good like idea of the kind of person that Helen was, because even though she was going through this whole illness and everything, she was gonna pass away. She knew she was dying. And she knew that she didn't want to leave John alone, so she got him this beagle to basically as his way of finding something to love and to start over again and to have a reason to keep going even beyond her, which I think is like an immensely like selfless thing to do. And it was like, that shit made me kind of tear up a bit. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. That was so cute. Like, so it was like when he reads this letter that the dog is sent with, he starts crying and everything. And I really like that, because it's like, here's your main protagonist who's a vulnerable, emotional man. And later on you see how like badass he can be, how like merciless he can be. But then at the same time, he has layers on. He's not just this fucking like cold
killing.
He's not a one-dimensional action character.
Exactly. Like he has like all these emotions and he's going through it. Like right now, this whole like setup is just showing like erratic, like his behavior and everything. It's just like he's just feeling emotional. He's feeling it. So if you want to get into the next part on that one.
No, yeah, I actually wanted to like touch upon the whole letter part.
Yeah,
because I jotted this down on my notes. I like how she ended her letter with "your best friend Helen."
Yeah,
that was such a really sweet, sympathetic moment. Because when you're with when you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, they tend to kind of be your best friend in a way.
Exactly.
So it's just like the fact that she wrote that was like a nice attention to detail.
Even when she talks about like you need something to love, not only just your car.
Yeah,
I thought that was a
funny.
funny
That was
little
cute.
joke.
Because she said the car doesn't count. I was like,
Yeah,
that's funny. That's cute.
And I love how it kind of shows that she knows John, you know,
really well,
in a cheesy way, like better than he does in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, you know, you feel that loss. You know, you see it, like you said, in his performance when he's reading that letter and he starts crying. Yeah, you really do feel those emotions come through. It's one of the few times where I'm like, okay, damn, Keanu can actually act pretty well.
Exactly. He's a good actor. He really flexed it here.
You can fully believe, like, yeah, they were in love. Like, they loved each other. Like, okay, I understand that immediately.
And it was more impressive with just how little, like, because I do agree with Matt. I would have liked to see more of, like, Helen and John's relationship. But with the amount we got, it was still really impressive that it still managed to make you feel something, which is the point.
Yeah, it holds that weight throughout the entire movie with all of his motivations going forward.
Yeah, and speaking of, like, making you feel emotions, let's talk about Daisy, the beagle. So John gets really attached to Daisy. I definitely picked up on something while watching it. Like, do you guys remember the part where he pays off the guy to drive around the
yeah.
And when he's, like, going to crash into, like, one of the big trucks that were parked there? And then he just stops because he remembers, he's like, oh, I can't kill myself because I have the dog now.
Oh.
Like, it's just, I picked up on that. I didn't pick up on it until recently when I watched it for this episode. And I was like, oh, wow. He was ready to just, like...
plow right into it.
Like, he was ready to just call it a day. But, like, he was just like, Helen left me that dog, but I'm not going to leave it because it was from her.
Yeah.
And it means something a lot more now than it normally would. So after that, he takes the dog to get some toys and stuff. Oh, before I mention this whole thing, because you guys know what I'm about to talk about, I thought it was really cute when he first had the dog. And, like, he serves her a bowl of cereal because he has no fucking dog.
I
thought that was really cute.
Some kibble some later.
He was like, we'll get you some kibble later. That was so fucking cute.
The dog's tail's wagging like crazy. Like,
she's all happy.
He doesn't even know I'm not supposed to have this.
At first, I thought he was making a second bowl for Helen, and I was like, oh.
He's, like, traumatized?
Yeah, I thought he was making, because he was just used to it, like, making breakfast for both of them, but then I seen he gave it to the dog. I was like, oh, okay, thank God.
Like,
I don't think I would have...
It's not sad.
I was like, I don't think I would have been able to hold it in.
But the next part we're going to talk about is very sad. So, as I was saying, John has a dog with him, has Daisy with him in his car. You see, and this made me feel so much more sadder, because if you look at his car, he has so many, like, dog toys and, like, dog stuff for the dog, and I was just like, this sucks. So pretty much what happens is John stops at a gas station to get gas for his car. Has a beautiful 69 Mustang, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful fucking car. I was just...
Is this a 70?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So what ends up happening, these Russian gangsters pull up. And they're getting gas, and they're going to the gas station and stuff. And then this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed prick.
This little Alfie Allen.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck who he is. He's a piece of shit in this movie.
This dickless fuck.
He's a dickless fuck. Yeah.
Theon Greyjoy, baby.
Yeah, that was...
He plays a great shithead.
He does. He's very
good at it.
He's very good. So pretty much he approaches John Wick saying, oh, you have a lovely car. What year is it? A 70? He's like 69. And they're just going back and forth. He's trying to buy the car. John says no. And then he sees the dog. He's like, oh, I love dogs. And John's just looking at him like, this guy's hella... Like, he knows something about this kid. He doesn't know who he is, but he's like, this kid's fucking shady. Like, you can kind of see it with, like, his face and stuff. And then when he was telling him that the car wasn't for sale, the little Russian gangster, he says in Russian, everything has a price, bitch. And then I love how John pauses and looks at him and replies back in Russian and says, not this bitch. And he's like, what? The Russian gangster's like, what the fuck? Did you just speak? Like, he just was hella thrown off. And then the other guy had to pull him back or whatever. And so John goes home, and the gangsters find out where he lives. They break into his house, and they catch him off guard because Daisy hears them breaking in. So she runs out of the bed, which is another really cute thing that she slept on the bed with John. I was like, oh, sweet little thing.
He let her.
Yeah, he let her because at first
he relented.
He gave. It's hard when you have a dog, man. Because I got 2 dogs. Like, it's hard to say no to them sometimes.
I spoon my cat every night.
No, it's hard, man.
man.
It's hard to say no to a pet because they got that innocent looking face. Like, come on, man. We know you want to cuddle with me, and you're like, fine, all right, get up here.
You know me so well.
That's pretty much what John did. So anyway, back to this part. John sees Daisy gets up, and he's like, oh, do you need to go to the bathroom or something? he walks in, it's all dark in his living room, and he gets like it was like a baseball bat that they hit him with, right? It was like
back
a
of the head.
Yeah, back of the
like
head.
a steel lead.
And he's on it was some metal kind of something
knocked
metal.
him the fuck out.
Yeah, something that was gonna hurt him either way. And then they hit him a couple times, and then and Daisy's crying and freaking out, and then the main gangster, the one who was trying to buy the car, tells him to like shut the dog up, and the other guy kills Daisy. So that was pretty fucked up.
He stomped her.
That definitely
stomped her.
Yeah, like that definitely like they did that to garner a reaction. Like that's what that was for. But then it kind of adds to why you understand what John does next.
Yeah.
So how did you guys feel about the whole break-in sequence and then like Daisy dying? How did that what was your reaction when you guys like first saw it?
Upon watching it this time around, I do wish I had a little bit more time to breathe with some of these sequences. It's just instantly like, all right, no, John, you can't have any levity. He only had that dog for like a day, basically, a day and a half. Something
exactly,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like upon rewatching, I mean, that is 100% the intention. Do I like it a lot? Not a lot. I mean, it works. It still works. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It doesn't break the movie for me whatsoever. It still got a reaction out of me. But I'm like, oh god damn it. Yeah.
Like with that, you can definitely tell that it was directed by like the stunt coordinators. Essentially, like they were more focused on the action, and then they even admitted themselves in the special features saying that like. Yeah, it was mainly an action movie, and then we had like little things sparsed in there of like emotional or anything like that. So it was kind of they definitely had more focus on the action, as you can see, and then like those little parts could have been shelled out a little bit more.
No, it definitely.
It's still effective though.
And I think using an animal is like a strong emotional tool that you can use on audiences.
Yeah.
And like I said, it works because like we all love dogs. And I mean, once you see it die, you're like, okay, I felt that.
Yeah. You must love dogs, you know.
Yeah. Like any kind of pet you see get killed on screen, you're like. That gave me a reaction kind of thing. But I do agree with you guys. I think the idea works, but it's not like it's not groundbreaking. It's not doing anything new in that regard. And like you were saying, the creators and the directors even like admitted it. They're kind of like, we're more focused on the action aspect of this movie. The story, we'll pepper in some good ideas, but that's not our focus. Yeah, which is kind of a bummer because if you really look at it, if they put more focus on that too, you could have had really strong story and really good action. Which is hard to do nowadays.
Which I think
they still have it. They still have it.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think of the three, this is the best well written, in my opinion.
I would say that. I would probably say the same thing, but I feel like because they took that like simplicity approach, it also added to it because it was just like you get just pure emotional driven type thing. You're like. I understand why he's doing this and for what reason.
And it's right off the bat.
Yeah. Everyone else sees it off surface value. They killed his dog. They stole his car. But it meant more of a... Because you know what that dog meant. Yeah. Like, it was like the final gift that his recently passed away wife.
And I'll get more into that later, like when we get towards the... talking about the end of this movie, because that really is more significant later down the line. Especially, like, not even just this movie, but the other two as well. There's a significance to it when people like talk about it in the movies. But I really like the next part where like you find out who John Wick was.
That's so cool.
I really liked it. Like
all the reaction shots.
Oh my god, bro! It was fantastic. It made me laugh. Like it was the first time I laughed in a while. Like genuinely laughed when I was like watching it for the first time in theaters. Like for like an action movie like this. Because because at first he goes to John Leguizamo's character Aurelio, who runs a car shop.
Yes,
and he brings the car, and then I love how he recognized it immediately. He was like,
"Whose car is that?"
He's like, "Where'd you get that car?" Like this is his first question.
Is the owner dead?
Yeah, and they're like, "No, but we fucked up his dog." He's like, "Oh, you fucked up his dog, huh?" And he socks the Russian gangster in the face, and then his other buddy pulls out a gun, and I loved his acting in the scene because he's like, "Oh, that's cute. You're gonna pull a gun in my fucking shop." And he grabs the gun, points it to his head, and I love the attention to detail in the background. You see his like crew getting ready.
Yeah,
to, like, fuck these guys up. It was really good. How'd you guys feel about that stuff too?
Yeah, I think his character. I mean, he's a recurring character in the others, which I love, and I like that he's like a great background character, and like that his introduction there is.
It was pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah.
There's another like part of that, like it's a little extension afterwards, which I love too, where he gets the phone call.
Oh yes, I was gonna get to that. Yeah,
from the dad, which is played by I'm going to butcher the last name. Michael Nyquist? He plays Vigo.
Yes. Vigo.
Yeah. He gets the phone call from Vigo, and he's like, "I heard you hit my son." Yeah, Vigo, I did. I hit your son. And then he's like, "Oh, well, why'd you hit him?" And well, he had John Wick's car. And he's just like
his whole tone.
Yeah, like the whole
tone change.
Like first Vigo was like angry, and he's just like when he's like, "I heard you struck my son." Like you feel like that, like he's a big deal kind of guy. And once he tells him he stole John Wick's car, pure silence, and then that's a recurring thing throughout this movie to help establish how menacing and how like fearful people were of John Wick when he was like a part of this.
Yeah,
in the community.
And the acting, like they are just nailing.
And they have a great cast. That's the thing I want to say for all three movies. They have great actors in these movies. They're all very good.
Like they even made that a point in the special features where they were talking about like they wanted every single character to be like a memorable like you know that person, you don't see them often, but you know their face, and like even if you don't readily immediately like know what their discography is or their background, you still know, I've seen that person somewhere before. Each person is their own character, and I like that because it could be like each person has their own story in a way.
And I like that. They did that really well with, what was it, Willem Dafoe's character, Marcus?
Yes!
Willem Dafoe was a great addition.
We have to talk about Willem Dafoe.
But I will admit, sort of like, what is it, with Nightmare Alley, I hate how he wasn't in the movie a lot. But the bits we got of him were great, nonetheless. Because it's Willem Dafoe. He's always going to crush it, no matter what he does.
Upon watching it this time, I felt like he was sprinkled out very well. Definitely better than Nightmare Alley.
100%.
Much
way better.
100%.
I love his performance in this movie. For the little screen time we did get, you established that he's been in the game for a long time. We established that there's a world of assassins, and Willem Dafoe is another character that plays a part in this world of assassins. He's an older, more experienced one. He knows John.
Yeah, I was about to say, we forgot to mention he was at Helen's funeral. And he
one of the only people too
that came up to John, because there was people there, but nobody was like, you could see that nobody was talking to John specifically. And then Willem Dafoe was kind of like maybe there was people who like, they didn't obviously show it. Maybe people did come up to him, but they mainly...
It's a little ambiguous who all those people are. Maybe they know her.
They know Helen, and then John knows them because of Helen and all that kind of stuff.
Another thing too is like he was at like a party. He had a party at his house or something.
It was the Wake or whatever.
Yeah, the Wake.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, okay, so
it was more
obviously all these people know him by some.
They have to by some kind of extent.
Like, he's probably knew him through Helen
very
most
well,
likely,
and by law enforcement too.
I like that. I can't wait to get to that. Talking about my boy, he's a real one. But I want to also get back to everything with Vigo.
Yeah.
Like how later on he calls his son, or like he was like when he finds out about what happened with John Wick and his son, he's like he's like finishing a deal or something, and then his henchman, I don't know if you guys recognize him, but he's the guy from the Allstate commercials, the Mayhem guy. Like I was like, it's the Mayhem guy. Like as soon as I saw him, and they were like talking. He was telling Vigo how they finished the deal, and Vigo is just really quiet, and he was just like, you see my son? It's just like, that was just super casual.
He's like, dude, this is amazing. We just closed this deal finally. We won. He's like, I don't care.
He's like, I got bigger fish to fry now. And I loved when he confronts his son. His son's name was Yusuf, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Or Yosef.
Yosef.
Yeah. And I liked how he pours him like a shot of vodka, makes him drink it, and then socks him right in the fucking gut, makes him puke it out. And
throws him a towel.
Yeah, and he's like, clean that up. In Russian too. He's like, clean that up. And then he's like, what did I do? He's like, you fucked up. He's like, what do you mean? We took care of, I think he says Atlantic City. Like, doing a job out there, and they took care of it.
No one saw us,
Yeah, and he was just like, I'm not talking about that. He's like, what, the fucking nobody? And he's just like, that fucking nobody is John Wick. He's like, he doesn't know who John Wick is.
Yeah.
And I like how Vigo explains. He's like, what? Like, he had mentioned they called him the Baba Yaga, and then Yusuf is like, the boogeyman. He's like, he's not exactly the boogeyman. John Wick was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. And then Vigo said the same reaction. Oh, it's just kind of like, I like that. That's a reoccurring joke. How did you feel, Rigo, about that build up to like talking to Vigo talking to his son?
So the way that they did it was really fucking interesting. Something that I've never seen in like something else was because John Wick is the protagonist of the movie. However, they described him as the antagonist. Like they booked him in this movie as if he was like a villain. Like you're creating this whole legend about this villain. Like this is like ultimate evil. Like this guy fucking killed like 3 people in a bar with a pencil. Like they're saying all this stuff about him. They're making him this like scary fucking like where these like mob bosses, these like really like terrifying individuals are scared of him. They're like he killed all of these people, all their corpses built our foundation. What we have now is because of the bodies we buried that night.
I have that written down.
No backstory.
I wrote down in my notes how he mentions that, and then the impossible task that he gave John because John wanted to get out because he was in love with Helen, and he mentions how that impossible task. It says the bodies he buried that day laid the foundation for what we are now.
Yeah.
So that shit made me go, oh my, he's not to be fucked with. He's not to be fucked with. God damn. How did you feel about all that, man?
Yeah, and I love that part too because like it does kind of reoccur in 2, which we'll get back to when we get to that movie. But yeah, freaking I really want to get into some of these action sequences. I've been itching to get to.
Oh no, because it's actually I want to bring up the part that happens before that first action sequence where he calls John because John is like he goes down to his basement, uses a sledgehammer, takes out his old equipment from when he used to be a hitman. All that buildup was really sick, and then when Vigo calls him. And then Vigo's just trying to talk to him, and John is just quiet the entire time, just listening, not saying a fucking word. And then he hangs up, and then the guy's like, "What did he say?" Enough. and then he has the mayhem guy task a crew to take out John, and that whole sequence in the house that made me go. Like I remember first watching this in theaters, I did not expect any kind of action like that.
Yeah.
So when it started happening, I was just like, oh, he's got the sauce. Oh my god. Yeah, John Wick is a savage.
Because this is our first introduction to gun fu, as they call it. Like where he starts doing like judo, martial arts type stuff, and then also incorporating a pistol in between. And it's like all that shit was so. I've never seen any other movie that did that.
Exactly.
And especially that fluid too.
No, yeah, that's the huge plus of the action sequences in this movie. I definitely think of all 3. I think the action sequences are probably utilized the best here. It doesn't like go so far into like some surrealist territory where it's like, okay, that's a little implausible. This is like pushing it, but it's all entertaining as fuck by it. Yeah. This one definitely stays within that realm of realism enough for me where it doesn't push it enough. And yeah, for me, I definitely think this is the best action-oriented one. And I also love, like, how you're bringing up the gung fu.
Yeah.
I love how in this one, that he makes it a point to always get a headshot. He finishes every kill with a headshot.
Even if he shoots him in the belly, still gets a headshot afterwards.
Yes,
every single one.
John Wick followed the double tap.
The double tap.
Like he's not letting you live for anything.
Yeah, the sequels I feel like gets a little excessive.
It really does.
Hey, wait a minute. We're acting like we still don't like those sequences. I'm pretty sure we thought they were pretty cool. Let's be honest here.
I called it out hella bad, but we'll get there when that one comes up.
We'll burn that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
So I really liked.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. But I really like the first one's action sequences. I definitely think they're utilized the best here.
They definitely are. I really enjoyed just how they show, even though he's been out of work for like 5 years, he still has it. Like it's like he never really lost it. But I do like throughout the movies, like not just the first one, but all 3. You see that he's not invincible. You see he takes some hits. Because I always hate action movies when the protagonist is like unscathed.
Yeah.
It's like that's so unrealistic. And that's what I appreciate, that they kept that throughout all 3 movies. Even though some of the action does get a little too spectacle-y sometimes.
Yeah.
It still shows that, no, he's still going to get shot. He's still going to get punched. He's still going to get pretty fucked up. And I like that consistency with him.
I do feel like this first one, like I said, does not push that.
It doesn't push
that. It really doesn't.
Not like the second and third one.
It rides a fine line.
Yeah. First one that's what I'm saying. This first one, I'm like, okay, we're still in that realism
believable realm. Like,
very over the top, but like I guess like within that realm of like realism, but like the farthest you could take it. You know what I mean?
I feel so, dude. Because like in the first one, they have like a lot of like spots where they're like, if you take 2 of these pills, like you'll be good for this, but you will feel it afterwards. But it's like they keep everything kind of like grounded still. I really appreciate that. It kind of, in my worst fears for the fourth one is that because of the trajectory that it was going in, it's going to take like a Fast and the Furious type franchise approach where it just gets, now we're in space.
Bigger is better.
Yeah, it's like we're racing
on the moon.
Yeah, we're racing for pink slips in the first one, and then we're on the fucking space. Like,
we need ray guns now.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullets don't work in space.
They went from stealing like DVD players and pink slips to fucking fighting for the government and shit.
Yeah, like what the
being endorsed by Corona the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
another thing I wanted to get into about this movie too is I like that this movie establishes a world like with the world building.
It has great world building.
Great.
100%.
Yeah,
I love Jimmy. Jimmy was great.
Yeah, is Jimmy
the cop? He's the cop.
Oh,
yes.
Jimmy,
because like after
well, two sets of people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So with after the first action sequence that we were talking about, Vigo had sent the guys to John's house. I think we forgot to mention that.
No, we did.
We did? Okay.
Yeah,
well, after that, there's a cop that pulls up to the door, and you're kind of like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And then John opens the door, and then the cop is just like, hey John, hey Jimmy, noise complaint. And then they just stare at each other for a second, and Jimmy goes, you working again? No, I'm just sorting some stuff out.
Yeah, the like, body in the background, very like, visible.
And Jimmy can clearly see the body. And he's just like, all right, I'll leave you to it. And he just leaves, and you're like, wait, what the fuck?
And I'm gonna fuck right off.
Yeah, and that kind of establishes, like, because a lot of these scenes, like, it's like, how did the cops not get to notify this? And they know. They just know to back off.
Yeah,
like,
they know not to go anywhere near that shit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, if I was a cop and I got called to, like, arrest John Wick, I just give him my badge. Just like, I'm not going anywhere near that.
Then it also shows like how powerful this underground society is that we're about to go into.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to take the reins on that.
All right, so pretty much we find out about this secret hotel that a lot of assassins within New York go to, and it's called the Continental.
Well, the cleaning service?
The cleaning service first.
Cleaning service was cool,
the dinner reservation is what they say.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like throughout these movies. They have terminology for certain things.
Yeah, they're like food
really cool.
terms.
Yeah, it's always really cool. There's another part about that within the second one I want to get into once we get there.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, John makes a call, and he basically is calling a cleanup crew for all the bodies that are in his house. And he usually, the way they do it in this series, they say, I need a dinner reservation, and the amount of bodies that you have are the amount of bodies you tell them, so they need to get rid of. So John tells them, what was it? A reservation 12. For 12?
Yeah.
And he took out 12 fucking guys, by the way. That's another thing we forgot to mention. He took out 12 dudes on his own. And it was still realistic enough where you're like, I could kind of see that happening.
Yeah, and the thing about that, even in I'm referencing the special features a lot because I really enjoyed it.
We need to hear that.
I watched all of those on the first one. I was like, fuck it, this is sick. But that quote from them was saying that they wanted to have like a gun spectacle, but at the same time they didn't want it to be gun porn, and there's a fine line between that. So they also want it to be like him like using his hands, doing all judo, doing all this stuff where he's like flipping around on people and using their weight. And you can really see that in the when he takes it into the kitchen, throws one guy on the counter, and then fights the other guy, then goes back to the first guy and like cracks his spine out, like basically like. Dude. Oh my god, dude. So it's a lot of that, and it's all like one seamless take in a spot, like a few spots where it's just like he'll jump on a guy, throw him, and then get on his knees, shoots another guy, goes back to the first guy, all in one shot. And it's like, dude, this is actually Keanu Reeves doing this shit. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to get into as well. Like, you know, him as a physical actor in this.
Yes.
He's actually putting in the work, you know, for the action. And, you know, I would put him up there with Tom Cruise in terms of, you know, an action star.
Like committing yourself to a role, like physically.
Yes, like committing is a better word to use.
Yeah, so for 8 hours every day for 5 days for 4 months before they started production and everything, he was going through all that training with like the top notch choreographers that they had at their disposal. And it's fucking crazy, dude. Like most people would be like, oh yeah, it's not like we did like 2 hours before like once a week. He was like doing it 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, just that, like learning this whole new like set of martial arts that he's never done before. And it's like he's gotten all this experience, and like it really shows throughout the freaking movie, dude. It's crazy.
Like the amount of commitment Keanu had was very like, it's evident throughout these movies.
Yeah,
like, you see how how much effort and time and commitment he's willing to put into this character, which is something you gotta respect. I mean, a lot of actors they don't always get that opportunity to get a character that they can keep playing consistently, and when they do, you see them really putting their all into it. Like, they're really trying to make this character work for an audience continuously and continue to provide entertainment. So that's one thing I really liked about the John Wick movies. They kept doing that. You know, little problems, nitpicks aside throughout all the trilogy. Even in the first one, there's still some issues, but nothing too crazy. So there's one more thing I realized we didn't mention. How John goes to Aurelio to find out what happened to his car and who took it. Because he kind of already knew where those guys would probably go, because he knows the network better than them, probably. Mm-hmm. So I like that scene where he talks to Aurelio, and Aurelio tells him, like, it was here, but I don't know where it is now. And he tells John that the guy who took it was Vigo's son. Which led to Vigo trying to talk to him and all that stuff, trying to diffuse the situation. And I liked how John was just kind of like, I like how he's the silent protagonist. He doesn't speak with his words, he speaks with his actions, which is something I think is very important. Not just with action movies, but just like making movies in general. Showing something says a lot more than saying something. Yeah. Like, because movies and TV, they're a visual format. So you need to see what's happening. You don't need to be told what's happening. If you want that, you listen to an audiobook.
And the thing that he talks about, every time he talks about it, it's very directed. And then it's also like, it's kind of like 007 in a way, but without like the cornball one-liners and everything.
100%. I mean, the one-liners are still there, but they don't feel as corny.
Yeah, it's appropriately placed.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
he uses them at like vital moments.
Yeah, it's not like
he's seeing you.
Yeah, it's not like he's saying it mid-fight, like, "Hasta la vista, baby."
Yeah, he's not doing that shit. Like, thankfully, he doesn't do like I don't know how you guys feel, but with the trilogy, he doesn't really do that too much.
Yeah,
like like you could maybe think of a couple throughout the series, but like it's not distracting and it doesn't like take away from the scene itself.
Yeah, when he's fighting, he's just focused on fighting, not trying to be clever or anything. He's just doing the killing.
Exactly. So I want to get to the next point, which I was bringing up earlier before we talked about this, which is the Continental.
Yeah.
Which is basically, it's like it's a hotel for hitmen, hitwomen, all sorts of assassins and such. And John goes there, and he's greeted by the front desk guy, Sharon. That's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Sharon
or something like that. Yeah. So he asks about the manager. He gets to see the manager. The manager is Winston, played by I think his name was Shane.
Oh, I can't remember his actual name.
Something. It was like Shane.
Fantastic actor.
Yeah,
fantastic.
He's
Ian McShane Winston.
Ian McShane Winston. I knew there was a mix something in there. Yeah. He's a great actor. He plays Winston. Winston and John catch up, and I really liked how they're talking through everything. Winston warns him about the path he's going on. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's very evident he's trying to tell them, like, he's like, because John tries to make it clear that he's not coming back to this world. Yeah. He's only coming back for what happened to his dog and his car. Because Yusuf, he's only after Yusuf. He makes that clear. But Winston's also kind of like, you realize if you even, like, dip a pinky toe back into this world, something is going to pull you back in. And you won't be able to get out again. He's like, you got out. Like, let this go. And then I like how John just tells him it's personal. Like, he just doesn't even... Because I would assume Winston knows what happened.
Yeah, to his wife.
He probably heard what happened to his wife, and then, like, the car and the dog and all that stuff. I'm assuming Winston would probably know, because Winston... It's pretty evident in the movie that Winston's very well connected. Like, he knows a lot of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So when he warns him, and then John leaves after saying it's personal, he goes up to the bar. He meets the old bartender that knew him, which I want to bring up because you mentioned it earlier, Matt. How John seemed more vulnerable, and she points that out. Mm-hmm. And I remember her saying, like, I've never seen you like this. He's like what? Vulnerable. And he, like, pauses for a second. He's just like, oh, I guess I am. Like, he's just kind of like, he doesn't acknowledge it, but he doesn't ignore it, kind of thing. So I thought that was cool. And then they gave him a heads up to where Yusuf was going, which is the red circle. And I really like the action sequence that happens there. That sequence was really fucking dope. But how did you guys feel about all that build up too? Like, where he meets up with Winston, it's more character development, setting up the Continental. How did you feel, Matt?
Yeah, I like that it also establishes a set of rules within this Continental. Like, it's basically a safe zone for all these assassins. No business is to be conducted within the grounds when you're staying at the Continental, which these rules do get broken by a certain someone.
Miss Perkins.
Miss Perkins.
Yeah, Miss Perkins.
Played by Adriana Padalecki, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, you're correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Badass woman.
She is. She's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, great action sequences with her. Another actress. Well, did you watch the special features? I mean, I'm pretty sure that was her within those action sequences.
It was her, yeah.
Yeah,
She's actually getting slammed into those walls. We'll go into that later.
Yeah, once we get to that point. Oh, but also before we move any further, fun fact: she almost played Wonder Woman for a pilot TV show. Yeah, or she was like the stunt double, I think, or she was gonna be Wonder Woman herself. I can't remember.
Oh, interesting.
But like, it was like the suit looked really bad though. It never got greenlit for obvious reasons.
That's probably good.
Because apparently it wasn't very good, so they didn't greenlight it.
I mean, she definitely puts in a good physical performance.
She does.
In this movie.
She's very good.
And what I also like is that she's also like she always has like this devious but like kind of like a seductive type of look to her, and like sorry, eating Skittles, guys. I'm hella unprofessional. I'm sorry, but anyway, so she
Taste the rainbow.
I started choking on it for a second there as my eyes started watering.
Oh, you were really tasting the rainbow.
I was really tasting it right there. I was fucking seeing some shit. Anyway, so Perkins, like, immediately she has her like eyes set on like John Wick, and you see it like multiple times. She's just constantly eye fucking him. Like she wants to have this murder boner for him.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she does get hired by Vigo.
Yeah, because it's apparent in the bar when he's there that she's like watching it.
Yeah, so I mean,
do you think she was already contracted?
Yes,
up to that point, really?
Yes, because she is. I mean, it is established that Vigo does know a lot of these assassins. I mean, he goes to Willem.
He goes
Dafoe
with Marcus,
first,
yeah.
And then doesn't he put out the hit on John?
He does. Yes, we forgot to.
Yeah, he puts out a $2 million hit on John, but he's at the hotel. Right. But Perkins doesn't care. She's like, all right, well, I'll break. No, she's offered $4 million. Yeah, Vigo offered her $4 million to break continental rules.
That's right.
To bring him John, and yeah, that's when she attacks him in the hotel, and then. But before that, we get to see Willem Dafoe. Well, Vigo first hires Willem Dafoe to take out John. And, at first we think, Willem Dafoe is going to go through with it. We're like, oh shit, like, is he going to betray John?
Yeah.
But, we quickly learned that no, fucking, he's a homie.
He's a fucking homie.
So wait, was the Perkins thing first, or was it the Red Circle then Perkins?
It goes,
because I think it was the Red
Circle because he has the scar.
He was all injured, so I wanted to get into that.
And she punches that shit.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
right.
I wanted to get into that action sequence because that one is one of my favorites in the series. It's really well done because you see it transition from like a stealth operation to a full on like now he can't be quiet anymore.
We in the shits now.
Yeah, I really liked the build up. Like I liked how he was like how stealthily he was killing all the guys in the bathhouse or whatever. Oh wait, not even before that. He doesn't know where he is, and so he finds one of the Russian gangsters that like broke into his house.
One of the trio.
Yeah, and it was I actually recognized him. He played Wesley on the Daredevil series, the gangster he kills in the
way.
locker room.
He looks humongous in this.
Yeah,
when he's not standing next to fucking Kingpin.
That was him. That was him. I was like, that's the guy. That's Wesley. That's Wesley.
Good for him. I'm glad he got this.
Wow, that was cool. And I think that was before Daredevil.
Yes.
Daredevil was 2015. Yeah, John Wick was 2014.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I remember when he gets into the locker room, kills the guy that was with the Russian guy. And then gets to the Russian guy and he's just like, you stole my car and you killed my dog. And he just like drowns him in like that sink or whatever he was at.
It just breaks his neck too.
Yeah,
like...
and then takes his phone. And then we get to the stealth sequence within the Red Circle. He's killing guys left and right. And I wanted your guys' opinion on this part. So during the stealth sequence, there's a part where he stabs that guy like through the bottom of his chin, right?
Yeah.
And he's just staring at him. I've heard people interpret that scene as like there's remorse on his face because he doesn't want to be back in this world. What do you guys think of that? You think that's something that's viable? Or...
Oh, I mean, no.
That's a little too far. Because I was just like, no, he's not.
He got 12 dead bodies in his house.
He's got like.
That's exactly. I don't think.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think body number 29 is gonna.
I felt it.
Oh shit!
Because he's in the shit. I forgot. I said
this guy might have had a family.
Hey, it's real. He had blue eyes.
If it was on YouTube or Twitter, I saw that take and I was just like. No.
No.
Now you're just trying to add substance.
You're reading too far into it.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't fucking crazy because I did not pick up on that at all. I did not feel any remorse when he killed those guys. And then I liked how before he's like sneaking in and everything, Vigo's like I guess his right hand man that other Russian gangster or bodyguard who's
Little
watching.
Call of Duty.
The guy with
the
turtleneck or
body,
whatever.
yeah.
The bodyguard. I'm trying to hold up because I
Beat his ass.
Daniel. The actor's name is Daniel Bernhardt. I think that's his name. He was the guy who fought John later on when he throws him over the balcony.
Yeah.
And a fun fact, I know you'll appreciate this. So that actor, for one, the dude's like in his late 50s, almost 60. He's like 57, 58. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's as fit as he is, that's fucking impressive. Dude. And on top of that, I wanted to mention he was actually in an episode of Barry, the HBO show. He was on season 2, episode 5. I don't know if have you seen season 2?
Yeah, I think that's the grocery store fight sequence.
Yeah, it was like how he first broke into the guy's house.
Yeah,
and he gets fucked up by, like, dude,
okay.
like his character's name in that was Ronnie. He's like a champion of like jiu-jitsu, like a bunch of other shit, and he like beats the utter shit out of Barry. Like he's just whooping Barry's ass, and Barry's like, "Hey man, chill. Like, I just tried to talk to you." So I thought that was like a cool little Easter egg of like that guy's filmography, because he's a very talented stunt coordinator. He's been in a lot of shit. He's been in Nobody, Atomic Blonde. In Nobody, he was the Russian guy on the bus who got fucked up in the teeth after getting hit by Nobody's watch on the bus.
I don't think Rico's seen
I haven't seen
it. Nobody?
Yeah, let's just
I'm sorry. I thought you. I'm sorry. But yeah, the point is that guy has a very like action-filled filmography. So he's a very talented guy. I want to mention that. So throughout the red room raid or whatever, there's a point where he's like talking to Yusuf. And Yusuf was like, "Hey man, come on, get in the tub with us. Let's have a drink." He's just like, "I'm here to babysit you. Like, I don't need to babysit a drunk tard."
He talks hella shit because he says, "I'm here to here to protect a boy, not babysit a drunkard."
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's a double fucking like.
And he's just like, "Are you scared of the boogeyman?" I'm not. He's like, "No." He grabs the bottle. He's like, "You should be." And I was just like, "Oh." Like I like how there's that buildup of like how intense John Wick really is. And then after that, there's that whole sequence in the Red Circle bathhouse. I think that's what they called it. Mm-hmm. He's like, first he does the stealth, then it gets into the loud action part. And I like that part where he sees Yusuf, has him in his sights, points his gun at him, and says, "Nah, not yet."
No. That was him. Like this.
That was him fucking with his head, and I love that. So that stuff was really cool. And then when he gets more upstairs later, and that whole single take, where John just busts through the door and takes out all the guys in the red button-ups and the black jackets.
Yeah.
He's just shooting them left and right, doing some jiu-jitsu. Like, he's just fucking these guys up.
Hell yeah.
How'd you guys feel about that whole action sequence? From the stealth to the action to the, like, really crazy action?
So, real quick. The very first guy, the doorman, I'm pretty sure that was Kevin Nash. Was that Kevin Nash?
Was it? No, Francis was the name of his character, right?
Francis.
Where he points to... I love that scene. That scene is so funny.
That's like, Kevin Nash, right?
Is it? Right?
I didn't look it up, but I seen his face. I was like, dude, that's fucking Kevin Nash.
Wait, do you have the IMDb up?
I do not know who Kevin Nash is.
He's a very famous wrestler from WWE, WWF, WCW.
If it is, that's fucking cool.
Fucking
yes, Kevin Nash.
Oh
Francis.
shit!
I'm surprised he didn't blow a fucking quad out during that scene. Turning around to look at him, I'm surprised he didn't blow a fucking quad out.
Mm-hmm.
But that was so cool because it's like everyone knows John Wick. You have this Kevin Nash who's like 6 foot, almost 7 foot tall,
very fucking
big fucking guy, arms like goddamn tree trunks.
Mm-hmm.
Turns around, sees it's John Wick, and he's like, "Thank you, sir, for letting me live."
I love that whole interaction because he's like, "Francis, Mr. Wick, you lost weight," and they're speaking in Russian at this point. He's like, "Yeah, I lost 60 pounds." He's like, "Wow, impressive." And then was it Francis asked him, "Are you working?" Fredo, Francis, why don't you take the night off? And he's like, "Thank you, sir."
Yeah.
He just leaves.
Yeah, he looks at him like with such appreciation.
He's like, "Thank you for not
really gratitude."
Yeah.
Like, thank God.
Thank you for not killing me.
I'm so glad I was nice to you.
And then after that, Yusuf escapes or whatever after the whole sequence, and then the main henchman of Vigo has that fight with John, and that was back to my earlier point. Like, I like how John does take hits. He doesn't just take that shit.
He loses.
Like he lost that fight. He got thrown over the balcony, tried to shoot the guy, and he just ran off. And I love that ending though, because you see Yusuf running out, and his friend like picks him up, the other one that was there, and he calls the other guy Victor, the one who was killed. Victor, who was killed in the locker room or whatever. And he's like, "Victor, where are you?" And then it's just John answering. He's like, "Victor's dead. Everything has a price." And he just hangs up, and I was like, Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and I like how he's like fucking like shambling out of there.
He's all bruised
like
up
bruised up and
Mm-hmm.
he's like bleeding and everything, but he's like still on the phone. He's like, I gotta be in character. I gotta no sell this.
Mm-hmm.
But then afterwards, he's like, fuck. I need a doctor.
And then when he comes back, he's saying, "Is the doctor in?" The doctor is always in.
Back to
And
the
then-
Continental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back to the Continental, which is cool because the Continental provides so many services. You know, like there's like a full-on bar. There's the
They know their clientele.
yeah, they understand what they need. And I like the doctor. I like how the doctor also is a reoccurring character throughout the series. And he was mentioning the whole the pills that he needed to take.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're gonna reopen your stitches,
Yeah,
but at least you'll have full movement if you take 2 of these before.
and then that's when Perkins breaks in and tries to kill him, and that's when Willem Dafoe saves him by shooting a bullet into the pill.
Just to warn him to wake him up
like,
to
hey,
be ready
like-
for it.
And that whole sequence is really cool. I liked how
It is a little ambiguous up until that point
Mhm.
if Willem Dafoe is on his side or not.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're like, okay, he notified him. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he was kind of like watching over him. This
Yeah,
whole
he's
time.
a homie.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a homie.
Like, yes,
and that's
I
another
knew
thing.
it.
Day one, baby.
That's another thing we forgot to mention, that Vigo approached Willem Dafoe's character Marcus to take
Oh, we
out
touched
John.
on it a little
Did we?
bit.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
just want to make sure.
You wanted to go there in person.
Yeah, we
so-
caught up.
Okay, for sure. Just want to make sure we're all caught up.
But yeah, so
What-
that fight scene with Perkins,
Mhm.
pretty much like she was taking those hits. We
She was.
talked about it a little bit earlier, but she was actually going into the fucking like walls and everything. And they were showing like behind the scenes, like Keanu Reeves had a fuck ton of like bruises all over his arms. He's like, yeah, this is what happens when you fight Perkins. Like, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, she's an animal.
The way she fights, like you can completely understand like how she can like be where she is in position wise in the
Yeah.
community, because she's like constantly on him, like never coming off, like using walls as leverage to stay on him.
She's relentless, dude.
She's like a fucking spider, just constantly wrapping around his entire body, which is crazy. I really like her approach of
combat.
yeah,
Her fight
exactly,
style, yeah.
It's
both of
very
those
cool.
great words.
And I like the little the dialogue between John and Perkins, where she was like, "Vigo's offering me double the money to take you out here," and he's just like, "What is he?" There was a line that I really liked that he said, where he said, "Oh, I can assure you that's a mistake," or something, or he says something like that. And I thought it was really cool the way Keanu said it.
I never knew you to take a contract under $3 million.
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's 4.
Yeah, no, we see the consequences of breaking the rules of the Continental
Yeah,
later.
and which we
I can't wait to get to that.
I cannot wait till we touch upon that. Because the next sequence is the where he gets to Vigo's vault, right?
Well, we don't gotta go like in order. of talking
order.
about every single scene, guys. But I mean,
That's fair.
we can definitely touch upon a lot. Of
I see the amount of notes
I
you
know.
have.
I mean,
I see you just
we have 2
scrolling.
other movies, guys.
That's true. I would just like, we don't have. That's true. We don't need to cover everything, so
Yeah.
we can get to the. What did you guys want to talk about next time?
There is one thing I really want to touch on,
Mhm.
which I feel like this movie has that the other 2 doesn't.
Mhm.
I really love the colors in this movie. The shading of blue that they use a lot in this movie is a theme.
The color
that-
grading is really good.
It's good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in the beginning when he's taking a shower, because I noticed that from the first movie and the second movie when he's taking a shower in the same shower. The first movie has just this really great blue color palette over
Mhm.
every shot, and it's just it's even on the cover too. Like blue is just
It's
the
the
color
aesthetic.
of this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I love that it's utilized very well in this movie.
It's very well done, very well shot.
Yes, and like that's just one thing I really wanted to touch on. I think the colors in this movie really pop, and I think it has like a style and a thematic purpose, whereas
Mhm.
like the other 2 is just kind of more just standardly shot. I mean, it gets the job done, but yeah, I really think this movie is shot very well. I
It
love
is.
the colors.
Very well done. What did I want to? I had another point that I wanted to talk about. Because honestly, I have a bunch of notes, but I figured we weren't gonna do everything. I was just kind of looking at what I actually wanted to talk about.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's just like in case if there's something like we missed or whatever. That's mainly why I took the notes, because there's no way we can cover everything I jotted down. This is just more for me. But you know what? To get to kind of back to the whole point with Daisy and everything, I liked that scene later when John gets captured by Vigo.
Oh, and he tells
in the abandoned church where he's going off, and I liked Vigo, and I wrote this down because I really liked this dialogue. I like how Vigo tells him, in the end, a lot of us are rewarded for our misdeeds, which is why God took your wife and unleashed you upon me. This life follows you. We are cursed, you and I.
Yeah.
I really like that because he's making a point. He's just like, Vigo's acknowledging, he's like, no, I'm a shitty person and I deserve this, but you're acting like you're a saint. That's why they took your wife, because you've done some terrible shit too. So I thought that was really interesting. And how John addresses, like, he's like, it's not just a dog, you know, it was more of like, that was my last gift from my wife and your son took that from me. So I'm gonna take your son's life. Like,
my favorite line in the entire movie was, hey, you want this to be over? Give me your son. I was like, oh shit. Like, you just keep screaming that at him, like, give me your son.
He said, he's like, you can hand over your son now, or you can die screaming alongside him. That was badass.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, Keanu, you are out here crushing it.
Yeah, and I love that scene where he's tied down and he's like, you know, everyone's been asking me if I'm back. But, you know, I've been thinking about it. And yeah, I think I'm back.
Yeah, that was badass. I love that.
Yeah, I definitely think this movie has the best quotes. Definitely. And I love that, like, you know, Be Seeing You is a reoccurring one that, you know, comes in the second and third movie. But yeah, just this movie is just firing on all cylinders when it comes to the acting, the dialogue, the one-liners, the action. Like I said, how the cinematography looks, like the blue. Yeah, I also love how Vigo isn't a stupid villain either.
No, he's not. No,
he's very actually well fleshed out.
Yeah.
It is 100% like fueled by emotion by the end. You know, it gets to the point where John finally does achieve his goal. You know, he kills his son, and then he has to finally face off against Vigo. And you know, I do think their final confrontation is a little cheesy.
Yeah.
It is a little like, all right, John, you and me, I totally stand a chance.
Mono, you're facing the final villain.
I remember his line too. He was like, no more guns, John. That's what he said. I was just like, just shoot him.
He didn't even have a gun.
No, John had a gun in his hand.
John had a gun, but he didn't have a gun.
This all would be over right now if you just shot him how you shot his son. Like, let's just get this over with.
Right before that scene,
It's
though,
not an even fight.
yeah, not at all.
And it shouldn't have, but I hate how they made
They kind of treat it like it is.
yeah, like Vigo stands a chance. I was like, he's John Wick. Miss me with this bullshit that Vigo stands a chance.
Vigo punched Marcus at Willem Dafoe before when they eventually killed him.
Yeah.
But he punched him one time. He's like, "Fuck!" He's like, "My hand!" Like
he was
ow.
putting ice on his hand.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, if you're doing that off of one punch, I don't think you're gonna stand very long against him. Like,
So yeah, I guess I would definitely say that the final fight was probably the weakest link in this movie.
it was.
It's the weakest link. It could have been done way better, or just have John kill him and end it there.
Thematically, I do like it.
Yeah.
But execution is just
a
like
problem. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe if they had someone younger playing Vigo around John's age.
But I mean, it just wouldn't
Or if
make
you just
sense.
establish him as a
like-
good fighter.
Yeah, if you show
Yeah.
something like that, yeah. But they don't really do that. They just kind of.
I feel like I do want to touch on this real quick because so Keanu Reeves was actually training not only just in guns and also martial arts, but also driving.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that whole last scene where they were like, it could have just easily been like a chase scene, but we wanted it to be like an action, also fighting with a car.
With
So
the guns too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever he hits someone with the car and the guy goes rolling over the thing, he's still shooting him as he's going over. He's like doing like these like 180s around them and shooting them around the corner and everything. I was like,
fuck
holy
your cover.
fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a scene. Yeah, you see it in the special features where John Wick has to basically do this like stop and then like turn 90 degrees so that the camera can see into the window and see right through the passenger side, see him to get that close up because he's gonna hit like one of the Mayhem guy.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna hit Mayhem guy like that, and they wanted the camera to be able to go inside the car, and they're like, if he fucks up, he's gonna go over the side of this cliff basically, and there's no coming back from that. So hopefully he doesn't die.
Right.
And he's been training for 4 months, and apparently he was the best at driving. Like, he picked it up really, really quick.
Because I know Keanu Reeves is really into like
He's really into-
motorcycles
yeah, exactly.
and, like driving in general. Like he's really into that. So it definitely makes sense that he could pull that off.
I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Because he actually did that first try and did it so perfectly. He hit his spot really, like, on the dot that they were able to get inside the car with the camera. And it was like, they were like, that was the best we could possibly hope for.
That's pretty dope, yeah.
And they did this for a budget, I believe, of I'll look it up, but I believe 9 million.
That's pretty.
That's insane for the 4 months of training
that he got. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I could be wrong. I believe it's 9 to 11 million. One of the two.
I could definitely buy that. That's definitely.
It was the cheapest of the two.
That's for sure.
Of the three, I mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, imagine a budget on 4.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry. I was quite off. Not by a lot, but budget was 20 million.
Oh. Well,
20 million, and it grossed 86 million.
It definitely made back its budget.
4 times its budget back.
It only grossed 80 million?
86 million
well, to be
worldwide.
fair-
The first one
First weekend or worldwide altogether?
worldwide altogether.
Yeah.
Because that was his entire box office run.
Because the first John Wick was like a sleeper hit. Nobody
Yes,
really
it
knew
was a
about
sleeper hit.
Nobody-
Yeah, that's
okay.
one thing we should mention. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it wasn't very popular at first at the
Yeah.
box office. I mean, obviously, like you said, you saw it in theaters.
I
but-
did, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't met anybody else that saw it in theaters, so yeah, I'm glad that like people like you saw it in theaters, and then it just gained really good word of mouth. Like, hey, this shit's fucking
Dude,
terrible.
I told so many of my friends, like, guys, go watch John Wick. That movie is fucking crazy. They're like, what? I was like, just watch it. Trust me.
I can actually believe that because I didn't even see John Wick until like years upon years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shit, it was actually really good.
Yeah.
I watched it on TV when it was on it.
Yeah, and the second one doubled its worldwide intake with 171 million.
Yeah.
That was made for. Okay, I don't have does not give me how much the budget was.
What was the production value?
Yeah,
Production value.
Hey, shit. It's a storming? Shit, that's production value right there, baby.
I'm curious how much the third one made. Okay, the third one made 328 million.
Makes
But
sense.
Okay, and the budget on that one, they do have one on that. 75 million.
For the second or third?
Third.
Oh, wow.
That's still good though. That's still 4
That's like
times your budget back.
I was about to say, that's like less than like what they made for the first one. Like what they made back in the first one.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's about on par. 75 million and 324 million. That's a little bit over 4 times its budget.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit over, so about on par with the first one. And then the second one, I assume, is probably in like the $30-40 million range.
Hey, that's enough profit to constitute a fourth.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
A quadrology?
A quadro. So, there's one more scene I want to talk about, which is the ending after he beats Vigo and everything. And then he goes to the animal shelter, patches himself up, and he sees a little pitty there, little pit bull, and he takes it home with him. I was like, like as I have 2 pit bulls, so like seeing that, I was like, oh my god, John Wick is literally me. I was like, I love pit bulls.
We're the twins.
Like, I love pit bulls. We're twinsies.
We could switch places. No one would know.
No one would know. I look like Keanu.
Matrix Keanu.
Whoa.
Whoa.
But is there anything
Anything
else you guys want to address before we do ratings?
I'm ready to get into ratings.
Yeah.
now.
Ready to go
we do
too?
ratings,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go last since it was my recommend. Whoever one of you guys want to
I'll
go
let
first.
you go first.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely think the first one. I think I'll just come out and say it. I definitely think the first one's probably my favorite of the 3. Upon watching the trilogy this time around, I probably thought the third one was my favorite. I am a huge fan of just action sequences and just mindless dumb action, and I think that's what really eluded me towards that one.
As your favorite?
When I first watched it, yeah, like I just
Understandable,
loved how over the top and bombastic it was, and they really they push the limits in some of those action sequences, like with like some of the dogs, and we'll really get into it.
We'll get into it
when
once we get
that
to
movie.
movie 3.
But yeah, upon rewatching the 3, I think the first one's the best thematically. I think it's shot the best. It looks the best. It has the best dialogue. Has the best one-liners. I think it's the best complete story. The other 2 are kind of just excuses to have more action sequences, and they do focus a little bit more on the world building. And I think
really
that's
do.
what those movies really do well and exceed at.
Yeah.
But this first one, I feel like has the most emotional depth to it, and I think that's for me why I would rank it as my personal favorite. And yeah, I love this movie, and I would. Oh my god, it's hard to rate it. I think I would. I'm stuck between 2.
A 2 or a 1 or a 3?
No.
Obviously.
two ratings.
I think I'll land on a. I can confidently say an 8.
Oh.
I I could do an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it rated at a 9 before, but I'm gonna go a little bit lower because there are some things that bother me, like the final boss confrontation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's realistic at how that would go.
Yeah, just like, okay. And yeah, just
big shit.
that's my major criticism of this movie. I think 8's pretty fair. I still love this movie. It's my favorite of the 3, and yeah. What do you think, Rico? What would you rate this thing?
With this one, I would definitely go with an 8. I would say 8 because I knew that it was going to try to build a world, which I liked because it kind of made it seem like they had this intention of doing so, even though they initially kind of concluded the story by having like the main villain, his family wiped out. If it stopped there, it could have been its own standalone movie, and it would have been like a classic. Like that would have been a really great movie. So I'm pretty good on an 8 right there. Everything that they did because they dedicated time into this, because Keanu Reeves pitched this script to the coordinators, the co-directors of this movie, because he knew him from back in the day. And he knew.
We never mentioned that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he worked on. They were on The Matrix, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how we met them. They were the stunt coordinators on that franchise, and basically he kept in touch with them. He knew that they wanted to direct their own film, and so he was like, "Hey, like, how about this?" and pitched it to them. And then they seen that like, oh wow, this script is actually mainly like 70% action and then like 30% like story on the other side. So he's like,
I think what it was too, though, I think Keanu was always like interested in the character, because I know somebody else wrote the script. And then they pitched it to Keanu, and he was just like, he's like, I know some guys who might want to do this, so let me talk to them. So he talked to the directors. And then on top of that, he gave the writer notes and he gave the director notes. The directors gave him notes too. So then they all kind of just came together. And then that's how the movie was done.
Yeah.
Because I saw in a recent interview when they were doing press for Parabellum.
Chapter 3?
Yeah, they were talking about how I got the script, but they had some issues with it. So they like made some changes. But overall, it's like a team effort. It's a team effort.
Yeah, so like you can also see the passion that's behind this, because they are first-time directors on this.
They are.
This is their first one, so they obviously it's going to be like something that they really want to like throw everything they can at it. And then when they had like all these actors that were also like pitching like, hey, I think my character should be making juice, which is a quote from Willem Dafoe. And then they're like, why would he be making juice? He's like, because he's an older guy, he wants to stay in shape, he's trying to be living healthy so he can keep up with the young people and everything. They're like, I love it. And then like, because they would, they were really receptive to all of their actors that would take like tips on like how their character would be, like how they would think that their character would want to do all these little quirks to show more of their personality, so show their experiences and everything like that. So with the first one, I feel like it's a really big like you can just see the passion between the coordination and then how much dedication they put into the time for Keanu to be trained up to this level. So I feel like this one has like the perfect balance between setting up antagonistic protagonist and then also the showing off this like new series of like skills and like fight style, and then also building up a story and then like a world all into one. I think this is actually my favorite one. So I would say this is a solid 8 for me.
Give it to me.
First time we agreed, baby. Look at that.
All right. We've agreed quite a few times.
Only on the obvious ones.
Yeah, the ones where you're just like, okay, that's understandable that we're on. Because honestly, we're on the same page. My rating for it was an 8 too. Like it's just that's where I stand, because it's just like
fucked up.
Wait, hold up. Hold up. 1, 2. Yeah, that was good.
Hey, I hope that picked up. Yeah.
I mean, we got it.
We got the red.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same page as you guys. This movie is 100%.
Wait, but is it your favorite though? Do you think they're the true or better?
3's your favorite, I bet.
No.
2?
2 is my favorite.
2?
Oh, okay, we'll get into it.
2 is my favorite. I'll explain why 2 is my favorite. I will explain. But I mean, do not get me wrong though. I really like this one. Like this one is like it. Without this one, we wouldn't have had 2 or 3 and 4.
Yeah.
If this never happened, we never would have known what John Wick was or who he was. Like,
we wouldn't have Keanu Reeves' Renaissance.
yeah, exactly. The
Keanu
I like
Sons.
the Keanu Sons. I like that. But basically, I'm on the same page with you guys in terms of like the action, the passion, the commitment. Like, you see it all there. Like, you really you feel Keanu's passion. You feel you can tell that this was like a genuine passion project for them. Like, it's you okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Matt
I accidentally stepped on the cat's toy.
Matt was trying to be sneaky with it. He was trying to be John Wick.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Right. Anyway, I really this movie was pretty solid overall. I definitely enjoy a lot of great action stuff that was very unique, new, hadn't been
Very new, man.
like that's where it was groundbreaking. Not with the writing, but the action. The action is what really carried this franchise, and I think it's kind of the point. It's intentional. You know that they're here for the action, not the whole story and spectacle, or more for the spectacle, but not much for the story. I mean, I know I'm always bringing him up, but I think I'd love to see Zack Snyder direct like a John Wick movie. 'Cause I think that'd be his bread and butter because he does action. He does action. Action, like, here's the thing. He's not a great storyteller in terms of writing stuff, but his visuals, you got to give him credit where credit's due.
Okay, you weren't in here for this.
Oh my god!
You were not in here for this country.
And he didn't.
Run it back! Run it back!
No, I left the room for a second. People,
I wish I left the room.
All I said, just from looking at his visual ability as a director, I said Zack Snyder could maybe do a John Wick movie. I think he could do a good one with his like action story stuff. Wouldn't let him near it. But I'm talking about the visual stuff, like all the action sequences.
Oh, I thought you meant
that's what I was trying to tell you.
I thought you meant like direct the whole thing. I was like,
no, like have him as a director, but like have a different writer. Like don't let him write the stuff. Just let him direct.
I mean, yes.
Because
yes and no. I mean, I would no. Actually, no. I would not want Zack Snyder's style only because he uses slow motion in every single movie. I know he wouldn't be able to hold himself back from.
You know what? That's very true. I didn't think about that. I totally forgot about the slow mo.
Yeah,
scratch it.
The John Wick's fight sequences, there is a versatility to them being fast and
that's
him killing these people.
That's what I meant. Like that was my main like kind of thing. But then once you brought up the slow motion and stuff, I was like, I don't want to see that much slow motion. Actually, never. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I would not want that in this movie. I love how fast the action is, and I love how Rico brings up the gung fu, how like unique it is, and I love that style of how fast it is. It is that kind of raid style action, which we are going to have to. We're definitely going to have to talk about the raid 1 and 2 at some point on the podcast. Yeah. But it is that same type of action. But what I love about John Wick is the use of the guns. I mean, I love how in this movie
I think it's like called
like a headshot,
like gun kata or kung fu.
Gung
fu. That's like that was more of like just like a random idea. Like I wouldn't really like. I could see it, but I don't know if I'd like. Part of me wants to see it just because I like his movies, but like another part of me is like, I don't know if he could do it. I don't think he could do everything justice, just the action.
I feel like he would have good ideas on it.
Yeah.
Cinematography wise, I feel like they've gotten better.
That's
like
fair.
Throughout the progression of the movies.
1, 2, to 3?
Well, 1, 3.
Oh, okay. Wait.
I'm talking so much shit without even saying it.
Wait. So you think the cinematography got better from 1, 2 to 3?
I got 1.
I agree to some extent. Yes, I think in 2 it's pretty fantastic.
That's what I was in. Is like I really like the cinematography. So with that being said,
in 2,
3, I have some criticisms. But we can, let's get into 2. I mean, so you rate 1 an 8 out of 10?
An 8, yes. We
all give it an 8.
8 across the board.
It's Rico and I's favorite, but you like 2 the best. So I'm curious to see if you rate it the same.
I'm ready for you to defend.
Yeah, ready to defend because like I
have the notes. I'm ready. I knew this was coming.
No, yeah, we can get into it. I can introduce this one. John Wick 2 continues with the story of John. I'm not too sure how too far along after this is. I know it's a few weeks, maybe months.
I'd say weeks. Maybe.
I'd say weeks.
A few weeks. Yeah. He has the dog still, so they keep that continuity going. Mm-hmm. But basically, we get John is basically trying to do what he was doing at the beginning of the first movie. He's trying to go back to a quiet, normal life, and he gets pulled back into business again.
Trying to get that car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning, like the car. Yeah.
Yeah, which we get we get another appearance by John Leguizamo's character, Aurelio. So we get to see him again. And yeah, we get to see him talk shit on the car.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but your windshield's cracked.
Okay, so something funny about that was he was saying, like, when can you have it done? Like, we were talking about repairing his car and everything. He was like, by Christmas. I was like, that's tomorrow. I was like, that's tomorrow. I was like, of 2030.
2030. We're almost there.
Hey, closer.
But I liked Aurelio though, because he was just like listing all the problems with the car, and then he was like, John just looks at him and was like, what do you think? What do I think? I can fix this. Like, he's like, I got you. I can fix this. So I like that.
But yeah, so freaking we'll bring some back into the fold of things is the character of Santino Di Antonio, which is played by Riccardo Siccamarcio.
He's Italian.
Yeah, for sure did not say that last
He's
name.
Italiano, you know, he likes.
I'm sorry.
Siccamatino.
Thank you, Rick. That sounded much better.
Grazie mille.
Just say it as if you're Italian. Siccamatino.
Yahoo!
Wouldn't even say.
But yeah, so we do get a little bit more of world building here with the locket, and we get a little bit more backstory here about some of the events that happened in the first movie, which is what we were mentioning earlier in that discussion about the events of that day. You know, all the bodies he laid that day. I forget what they refer to it as. But it laid the groundwork for Vigo's foundation in that movie.
The impossible task.
Yeah.
That's what they just refer to it as, the impossible task.
So yeah, Santino was able to help John with that impossible task. We don't know specifically what he aided him with, but he made a blood pact with Santino to do this. And in return, John Wick would have to do a favor for Santino in the future. And that future is now. And he wants John to go on a mission to, spoiler alert, he wants John to kill his sister for his position at a seat at the high table, which I believe is a member of 12 members, I believe. And I don't know what those consist of. I don't know if they're like in different regions of different countries.
I think
like there's New York. Where do they go in this movie?
They go to Rome.
Rome. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, different factions, different parts of the world. But yeah, so yeah, there's our plot. John is he's resistant at first, and he says no. And shortly after that, Santino blows his fucking house up.
Yep. Right after he paved that fucking thing back up.
And by the way, thank God the dog was outside.
Yeah, that's where everyone's mind is. We're like, oh my God, did they fucking kill the dog again? And then instantly, I love instantly, like, you see in the next shot, you see the dog. You're like, okay, the director's new. You're like, okay, that's where everyone's mind is.
We don't have to go through this.
Is the dog okay?
Stop giving this guy pets.
But yeah, so the dog was okay, guys.
Yeah, the dog was fine.
The house is fucked, but the dog was okay.
The pity was all good. He's still a handsome boy. He's doing all right.
So John has to go to the Continental, and Charon watches over. He doesn't even.
The dog doesn't have a name.
Doesn't have a name.
Even in the third one, he's just dog
or good boy. Or he says good boy or whatever.
Yeah,
he is a good boy.
He is one of the best.
He's really
boys.
well trained.
He's one of the best boys
for a dog in a pound.
Yeah,
really well trained.
You know, John trained him up.
Exactly.
And those like 2 weeks.
Yeah, he had the time.
And everything.
He's John Wick. He can do anything.
He really learned what to feed him.
Yeah, he learned.
But yeah, so what do you guys think of this movie? Andrew, you said this one's your favorite.
It is.
Yeah, let's.
I have a couple reasons. So one thing, I know this is kind of an issue down the line in the franchise, but I liked how in this one they upped the ante in terms of like what John Wick is going up against. I will admit, that all three movies have a similar issue in terms of their plot, where there's an antagonist. The antagonist either does something to John or forces John to do something, and then when it doesn't go the antagonist's way, they put out a contract on John, and John has to figure out how to survive with the contract over his head. I've noticed that with all three movies, they kind of do that.
Yeah.
Like every movie is just sort of like, it's just that's the main beat for each one. But what I liked in the second one, when I mean they upped the ante, it wasn't even just like the action sequences. It was also like John Wick's opponents in this one. I felt like they actually stood a chance against him versus in the first one where you had mainly that Russian bodyguard guy. John.
That was
John was rusty.
Perkins, I guess.
Perkins was like an antagonist in a way, but I feel like deep down we were kind of like, well, John's still gonna win.
Yeah.
But this one I kind of liked how when he fought Common's character, Cassian.
Yes,
Cassian was a beast, bro. Let's be honest here. He held his own. He held his fucking own. Like when John inevitably goes to Rome to take care of Gianna D'Antonio.
Claudia Jurina?
That's the name of the actress.
Jurini.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
the sister.
The sister who's now the newest member who's the newest member of the High Table. And I noticed a little detail, because you guys remember how she's having a meeting with this guy named Mr. Akani or something?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That guy was in Peacemaker.
Oh, wait, was he?
Okay.
He played the leader of the team.
Oh, the director got the...
Yeah.
Spoiler?
No,
never mind.
But the point is just like that guy was in Peacemaker, so I recognized him. I was like, oh, he plays the captain in Peacemaker. He's like in charge of Peacemaker and all the other guys.
I totally didn't pick that up, man.
No, I barely noticed it now. Like, because we rewatched it, I was just like, holy shit. So when John inevitably goes to Rome to take care of Gianna D'Antonio, he goes to a Continental out there, and I like that world building, that there's a Continental wherever they go.
Yeah, that was
like they have one set up somewhere, and I like how the guy who plays the manager at the Continental, Julius, he was the original Django from the old school Western.
Oh, nice.
Was he really? Oh,
yeah,
shit,
he was in the 1966 version of the movie.
He was the one that appeared in Django Unchained too.
He
right?
made a cameo too. Yeah, that was him. And I actually really like that scene because when he's talking to John, he's just like in Italian. He's asking him, he's like, "Are you here for the Pope?" And John's just really quiet. He's just like, "No." It's
like, okay, cool. Alright, we're good.
He was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "That's not the most Italian shit I've ever seen." Like, really? Which I like. I like how there's also like a decent amount of levity in this movie. Like it's not as heavy hitting as the first one. Because don't get me wrong, I love my dark storylines.
Yeah,
it's also cool when you have that balance of like the comedy, the seriousness, the act. Like in this one, I feel like it had a good balance all around. And like back to our earlier point, the cinematography. I really like the cinematography in this movie. I think it's really well done. Like when he's in Rome tracking her down for her coronation into the High Table, and he just sneaks in, he takes her out. And then they have that whole conversation, which is a really nice conversation.
It's a good conversation.
I like that. That was where the writing... And I feel like the writing in this one's a little bit stronger, too.
I disagree.
But I can see... I can definitely understand why there'd be an argument against the writing. But I like it a little more, I guess, in terms of how they... like how they wrote the action. That's kind of... Because I feel like the action is a little... I know it's a little bit more out of, like... It's losing the realism.
Yeah,
but I like
going into that excessive territory.
But at the same time, it's not like it's 100% there yet. Like there's still some sense of realism within the fight scenes.
Yeah, I'll give it.
Yeah, that's why. Because I like how even though it's a little unbalanced this time around, I like how the action kind of rose the stakes without becoming like the third one, which we'll get into later.
Mm.
But that's why I really like the second one because they up the ante. Like all of Cassian and John Wick's fight scenes are great. The catacomb fight scene was great.
Dude, yeah, that catacomb.
Like I love the catacomb fight scene. That was fucking dope.
The catacomb fight scene and like my favorite action scene in like this whole movie. I love when they're in that whole sequence when I love when he first realizes when John. Like what are you doing here? Are you working?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm working.
Yeah.
And it was like
good night.
He was like, oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, so.
And he was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He killed my fucking...
His ward.
Yeah, my ward.
Yeah.
And so freaking, I love that it sets up a rivalry right there instantly. And I love the sequence where where they're walking through the people.
The train station.
And, they're walking through the train station and they're having a silent pistol battle.
That's great.
Pew, pew.
That was good.
And they're just barely missing, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, and I'm for all these people. And I'm just like, oh my god, how are these people not noticing anything?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of
that shit in this movie where I'm like,
smearing blood on the walls. He's covered in blood.
That is an issue. Yeah, I will admit that is an issue.
Yeah, it takes a lot for them to notice.
Yeah,
that
which is a bigger problem too in part 3 that I noticed too. We'll get into that more. It's kind of like people not noticing certain things, which I'll explain later. But with this one, I liked. This part made me laugh, and I feel like it was kind of intentional. Is when Cassian finds John Wick. He's like, "You're not having a good night, are you, John?" And he starts fucking him up or whatever, and then he throws him down the flight of stairs, and they're just both like falling. Like, I feel like that scene was kind of intentional. Like they were like, "Okay, this is kind of silly, but let's run with it."
There's a part where he clears like 4 steps.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, dude. Like you see them get hit by the stairs.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that was a hit. That sucked.
Oh, but I also remember another thing I wanted to bring up was Jimmy. We see Jimmy again in this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like this interaction.
The fire truck and everything.
I like this interaction more than the first one because in this one, he says, "Are you working again, John?" Doesn't say anything, just gets up and says, "Be seeing you, Jimmy." And Jimmy just picks up instantly that it's like, it's a whole different tone shift for John, and he's just like,
he's
shit.
back.
Like now, like he's working now, like, fuck. We're in for like a big mess. That's pretty much what they're playing.
But my favorite fight scene in the movie was the rave part where like he like shoots a guy on stage and everyone's like, yeah,
like they think it's like part of the show.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny, and then he jumps down, shoots someone like while they're in the middle of all the audience, and everyone's like, oh fuck,
like
then they're having this whole fucking fight, like gun killing scene while there's like people running through the shot. I'm like, it's just chaotic. I really liked that, and he was like it just felt like all the hits were so much heavier. Like the gunshots, it was just like heads just blowing and shit.
And I love how John has it planned out too. Like he goes around a corner and he's like, "All right, I have my shotgun here." Like, okay, so like he's coordinating this shit.
I love how precise
he knew his exits and everything.
He knew his exits. I was like, say he has his route planned out. It doesn't matter like how they track him down. He's prepared with the route that he's going. He's gonna plow through.
He knew that the canals were gonna be like the tunnel or whatever was gonna be like close quarters. Get that shoddy, boom, tear out pieces.
It doesn't matter if they're in his way. He's going to go through them.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to. This is the point I was talking about when we were talking about number 1, where like the world building and the Continental and everything, and then they show us more of the services that they provide.
I do like that.
That's how he knew how to get through the catacombs because he went to that historian who had the blueprints of their estate. Then he goes to the tailor who has the suits lined with the ballistic fibering or whatever, and then he I like the sommaire, I think that's what they call him, like a wine waiter or whatever, the guy he talks to with getting all the weaponry from. I really like that scene. I thought that was really cool. Like he's talking about, I need something precise, robust, and he's just like, precise, robust, and he's like thinking like what could help John, like, and I like how they use terminology. They do
that a lot.
It's smart.
I really like that.
Like with the tailor, too,
it just feels like secret agent shit.
No, literally. And then with the tailor, he's like, "How many suits do you need?" He's like, "I need a day suit and a night suit. Day suit and a night suit." He's like, tailored. Like it was like asking specific tailoring questions. He's like, in the lining, he's just like tactical. And it's just like I like that stuff. Like it's really, it adds more like world building, which is why this one is my favorite because they add that. They add the whole concept with the marker, how it's a blood oath. You have to.
Okay, I really wanted to talk about that. I love how they added more like mythology essentially.
Exactly, that's why it's my favorite because they add so much more stuff, which is really interesting to me.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like the first movie just works as if it was just the first movie, it works as a standalone movie. I think this movie just doesn't have that huge emotional tie like that first movie does.
I understand that. Yeah, that's what made me like the first one more.
That's a fair criticism. I can understand
because he's like screaming, crying, and
you
like
get
weeping.
Way more complex emotion in that first movie by Keanu. I felt that shit. Where like these next 2 movies are just focusing on pure action, and then which I think it excels at, which it's fucking amazing in that.
And then if you like kind of put it in terms of timeline, it's only been a couple weeks since his wife died.
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Like, I would be fucking traumatized. Like, I would be done.
You could argue that, like, you know, therapeutic sense for him.
I
At this
definitely-
point, it's something
I
that
would
it's
see
all
it like
he
that
knows
too. Yeah,
At the same time,
he could stop at any time.
Yeah, but
at this point, well, I mean,
Okay,
he's
well,
so
he
deep
kinda-
in
he
now.
kinda, yeah,
Where it's
exactly.
like, all right, no, there's too many people on your tail now. Because
Yeah.
at the beginning, he was trying to get away from it until like this, this bullshit of
he was just trying to get
plot
his car.
device.
He was still trying to get his car back, basically.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
he was trying to do.
but I mean, this plot device of Santino and a blood pact. I mean, obviously, that's what brings him into the fold. And if they're like, okay, we need to write something that'll bring him in, and obviously, like, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, it's an excuse for more action. That's fine. But yeah, freaking. Yeah, I love that whole action sequence through the catacombs and whatnot. It's I think it's the most complex fight scene that they choreograph.
Yes,
like, all the
definitely.
people that they have running around, like those are actual people and stunt doubles running around and shit. It's just like, damn, there's so much chaos going on right
Yeah.
now, and these fight sequences are really going in.
Yeah.
I really love that. Like that was my favorite in the movie.
Yeah. And I liked Santino as an antagonist because he wasn't like a physical force. He was more kind of like he thought shit through. He's like,
Yeah.
how can I use this to my advantage, kind of thing. Like when he even talked to John saying like, look, if you say you're retired, I would have respected it, but you didn't. You came back in. No one told you to, and I'm within my right to do this. Because it's
Still
like
kind of bitch shit.
No,
to
no,
do.
I
Still
think
kind of
it's
a little bitch.
No,
I'm not
he is.
gonna lie.
I don't
Bitch
disagree.
thing to do.
I don't disagree. He is a little bitch for that, but that's how some villains are. They're like a little bitch because they'll do shit that they don't even need to do, but they do it because it's for their own kind of self-interest and their like advantage. Because
Yeah.
he wanted her seat at the high table, which was the point.
Yeah,
God,
I just don't find him
bitch.
too intelligent or, like, I guess smart. Like, I just don't really find him a force to be reckoned with. And I don't find Vigo in the first movie to be a force to be reckoned with either, but I felt like his acting was much more better, and I thought he was
He had
much
more character.
He had more character, and he was way more intelligent in the sense of, like, just the way he delivered his dialogue. Like, like when his son died and he answered the phone, he was just like, just
Make
prepare
the
the
arrangements.
make the arrangements. Like, he already knew. Like, he was like, he knew
Yep.
the second he gave his location to John, he was like, oh, well, he's dead. Everyone's dead. Like, I know that house is gone. Like, like, freaking, I love that he was, like, such an intelligent villain. And in this one, he's just, just like Rico said, I think he's just kind of a little bitch, and it's just motivated by,
Very cowardly, I would say.
No, yeah, and
That's
I'm
why.
just
That's
like-
why I like him because he's like he's literally like someone that you want to die because you're.
Oh,
like,
that's how I
Yeah,
felt the
that's-
whole
that-
That's
time.
why. That's why I really
I mean-
enjoyed it because like he'll do shit he doesn't need to do, but he does it because he wants to, and it's his like self interest.
Especially when he makes a visit to the Continental.
Yup.
No!
Are you guys-
I mean, hey,
Exactly.
You gotta admit, as bitch of a move that is, it's fucking smart.
I will give you that. Yes.
He would never.
Yes.
But like he didn't expect what happened to happen.
Okay.
So you gotta give that.
Do you guys want to talk about that, or is there
Yeah, we can jump to that, and then we could get into it.
Again, Andy.
Go ahead, Andrew. I mean,
All
these
right,
are your
so-
movies, but yeah, like we can just.
Well,
I mean,
well,
full spoilers on all these movies.
No, yeah. I mean, we've made that pretty clear in the first. When we talked about the first one. So anyway, everything happens at the end. John completes the objective. He's just hunting down Santino D'Antonio, and then he also put out a contract on John, like Vigo did. I actually really like the montage too in the second one, where all those hitmen and hitwomen are coming after John.
Yes.
Like, that was a really cool action sequence. That was the one thing I feel like the first one was kind of missing because there's this big contract. You have 2 people on it only for John Wick. As big of a threat he is, like you only have 2 people. Sure, they're good.
2 main people, yeah.
Like, but I liked how in this one they actually had more assassins coming after him because that would
Everyone just pulling out their phones, seeing
Yeah,
it.
like
they're
that. Oh, John Wick.
Would look
for
like
that
regular,
much.
everyday people.
Yeah, and I like that how it's just like random ass people, like the violinist, the fucking just random
the
civilians.
sumo-looking
The
person.
sumo-
Dude,
Yeah.
chilling there eating.
Who apparently took a gunshot to the fucking dome,
and then still survived.
and then did another one. Like, what the fuck?
Well, like first he got shot once, and then he had that. I guess like because isn't there like a thing where your body will like kind of stay alive for like a couple more seconds or whatever? Like
I don't care how fat you are. You took a bullet.
That skull is a skull.
Yeah, but I'm saying
You don't
like,
get fat on the
there's,
top
like,
of your head.
There's actual stuff like that where like a dead body will still kind of move on its own and shit like that.
Oh, I see.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that. So I figured
Little
that's kind of what it was because I feel like even if they were to do that whole scene, there's no way he's gonna get up and fight after that. He's probably just gonna be like, and then die again. But John was just like double tap and then he left.
Yeah.
It's just, I like that.
There was a point where he was just shooting him in the kidney.
Yeah,
I was like,
just-
God damn, stop
Like,
it.
all right, we got some extra meat here.
Yeah. Little thick boy here. need the armor piercing rounds for this one.
But yeah,
So after all that, John manages to escape all that, takes out the assassins coming after him, and Santino runs back to the Continental because he knows John can't kill him there.
Little bitch made shit.
Bitch, that's some bitch energy. Don't get me
Yeah.
Let's not get twisted. Fuck Santino for that. He's a little bitch, but that's why I like him because it's like the perfect kind of like duality. It's like a little bitch versus the manliest man possible.
Yeah.
When you think that's why I really liked him as a villain because I'm like he's not Vigo. He's not tough. He's a pussy.
He's not out here gonna fist fight
yeah, he's not
John
gonna-
fucking Wick.
He knows he doesn't stand a fucking chance. And like, there's like people like that in like the real world who think they're like hot shit and they'll talk all their shit, but once it's like time to step up to the plate, they're fucking bitches. So I like how that was conveyed in a John Wick fucking movie. So John gets to the Continental, asks where the manager is or whatever.
That being said,
he asked where Santino is.
that being said, I would go to the Continental. too.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a bitch 100%.
Realistically,
But let's be real.
yeah.
Are you gonna try to take on John Wick?
no, exactly. I understand his motivation.
like that's what I mean. So I really like. I found that like a very interesting dynamic to put in a John Wick movie. So anyways, John gets back to the Continental. He finds Santino in like the lounge area. He's eating like a steak with duck fat. Or
Duck
something.
fat, yeah.
He said duck fat makes all the difference. Or whatever.
So
it is, like,
gross.
his Italian accent is.
Have you guys ever had duck?
No.
No,
Have you?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's very like chewy.
Ew.
I didn't like it. It's kind of like a grease type of thing. It's not good.
Oh. Okay.
I would say try it. You might love it.
duly noted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it
So
with you.
anyway, Winston is there trying to warn John not to kill him. He's like, just walk away, Jonathan, walk away. And I like how Santino doesn't even get to finish his sentence. He's like, yeah, John, walk up. What have you done? Finished it. And just puts the gun down. I was like, damn.
For me, that's what made the movie so fucking hype going forward. Like the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna lie, from that point before it, I didn't really care too much. I was just like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's cool. But that point forward, I was like, fuck yes. I was like, because I thought the movie was gonna end like right there.
Uh-huh.
But man, that shit got me so damn hyped for the third one because I was like, he just broke the rule.
He
broke the rule. I was like, oh
He
no.
broke the cardinal
No one
rule.
does that.
Yeah, dude.
Look what happened to Perkins in the first one after she
Yeah.
attacked someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or she killed Harry.
Harry, yeah.
Yeah.
You keen on earning a coin, Harry?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
she got
Yeah.
from all corners.
All corners. So yeah, that's another reason why this movie is one of my favorites. Like literally, it elevates stuff for John. Like the enemies he's fighting, what he's doing, how he's doing it, what he ends up doing, the decision he makes,
Yeah.
the repercussions that bleed into the next movie. That's why the second one's my favorite because it takes things from the first one, amps it up, and then gives you a crazy ending.
Yeah.
Which is that's why it's my favorite. You don't have to agree, or because you guys make some valid points about the issues that the movie has, but that's why it's my favorite. I like how everything is elevated. Like it may not be executed properly, I can admit that, but I still like the idea of what they did, and despite all the issues, I still think it's a pretty solid movie. It's not like a piece of shit movie.
No, it's not a piece of shit
It's
movie
not.
at all.
I just don't think it's elevated, and because that would mean that like everything is better, and I don't think everything is better in this movie. To be honest, I think it's like there's longer action sequences, but like I like the grittiness of the first one a little bit more. Like I love this is where we're starting to get into like a little bit of that excess territory.
Yeah.
Where like some of these kills are like okay, he's wasting a lot of bullets at this point. Where the first one is like, okay, after he gets that headshot in, done. Move on to the next person.
Yeah.
And so like that's where I'm like, okay, the action is still great, and I love the work that they're putting into this is fucking incredible, and is. I mean, you guys went
Not
into
at
all the
all
special
something to
features.
scoff at or
Yeah, no, exactly. Like they definitely umped the ante, and I agree with you there. Like they upped the ante in that sense, and like I think the set pieces are bigger, more bombastic, and yeah, they're fucking gnarly. I fucking love the action here. Like I do think the first one was a little bit better, but I do think it's still fucking gnarly. I mean,
Would you guys say you're ready to get into ratings?
I'm ready to.
There was one more thing I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk about the Reflections of the Soul action sequence.
Oh,
the
fuck, I forgot about that.
Was fucking great.
Yeah.
Where it's just like all the mirrors and stuff, mirrors, and all that.
What'd you guys think of Ruby Rose?
Oh yeah, there's two things I wanted to get into.
Forgot about her.
She was alright. Like,
yeah,
she wasn't like a show stealer.
I think she was.
Oh yeah,
she went all the way in Keanu's gooch, man. She got a bunch of Keanu cock in there.
Yeah, oh yeah,
she was like,
oh yeah, she did.
I was
But
like,
hey. I like how even John Wick is like, fuck.
she tried to shoot her shot a couple times. She was like, "Can I buy you a drink?"
Yeah. I was
like, oh, okay.
I think she gave a decent performance though for like not speaking,
she wasn't
like for
terrible,
for the sign language. I thought for
I liked her. I thought I don't like her in other things, but I mean in this one I thought she was pretty good.
Are you talking about Batwoman is like her best role?
Oh, don't get me started. She said it herself.
She did. She really did. But I did enjoy the concept, the idea of her character, a mute assassin. That's cool. That was very interesting. Oh, and there's nothing else.
She stands out.
Yeah, like along with the Reflection of the Soul scene, I like the conversation that Santino and John have, or like Santino's just talking shit to John, saying like, "I think you like this stuff. I think it's the vengeance that drives you at this point. Like you're
true.
Like you're not coming like." And that's what I liked about his villain in a way. Like he's kind of pointing out shit about John that Vigo didn't really point out. Vigo was just kind of like, "I know what you are, so this doesn't matter." It was more with Vigo. It was more of like there wasn't understanding between him and John because him and John had worked together before. But with Santino, he was sort of like an outsider looking in, so he could form a different perspective than like Vigo.
Yeah,
Vigo worked with John. Santino only did John a favor. So there's like, and they may not even like each other honestly. Like they probably, Santino probably just saw the opportunity. Like, oh, John Wick is gonna owe me a favor. What do you need, John?
Cashed in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. But again, it does have the repetitiveness of the first one where it's just like antagonist pulls John back in, puts a contract on John.
Yeah.
And the only difference here, I like the finale in this one more than I did in the first one.
Yeah, it definitely lands the oh shit.
For me, all three movies, out of all three of them, the second one has the best ending.
I agree with there. Yeah, definitely. I think the second one, I love where he's in the park and
the flash mob just
yeah, he's like, all right, guys, yeah, call it, and then they all just stop and look. And I'm like,
it shows you
how
serious they take John Wick. They're like, we need everybody.
Yeah,
we need to have a completely controlled section
flex,
of a park.
Dude.
Oh my Jesus!
And then you have everyone continue on with their day. When he's walking out, he's looking at everyone, thinking like, "Is this a person? Is this person?" He's scared.
And then some people are like looking at their phones who actually are assassins. You're like, "Oh shit!" There's like just random people there. And what else? There was two more things I wanted to talk about with this one. One thing I wanted to talk about was how he ends the fight with Cassian on the train.
Oh,
I love that whole thing. The aorta, where he's just like, the blade is in your aorta. Pull it out, you will bleed and die. And he just stares at him and goes, consider this a professional courtesy.
Yeah.
He fucking gets off the train. That was badass.
That was cool.
That is one of my favorite John Wick moments throughout the series. I was just like, that's fucking John Wick.
And that's a throwback to the line he said
that he had at the bar. Yeah, when they were talking, because he had explained to Cassian that he had, or Santino.
Scotch or...
it was bourbon, right?
Bourbon.
Yeah.
Bourbon.
And then you like gin, right? And he's like, yeah, gin.
Still a gin, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was also like what I like about all these movies too is that there's a really big layer of like respect throughout the entire thing, which really sets it apart from other movies. Just because it's like everyone, even though they're gonna kill each other, even though they hate each other at certain points, it's all like, well, you know what, we can take a second. And it's like, I love that. I love all the little honorable things that they do, which they do lean more into, like
signs of respect for one another.
Yeah, they do lean into it like way more in the next one. But
they do, yeah.
What was the other thing you want to talk about?
I just had it. It was here a second ago. The Cassian thing was really.
That's all you can think about.
No, like because I had another point, but now I can't remember, and I'm kind of upset.
You got hit by that ADHD brain just immediately.
Wait! I have notes. I have the notes. Let me look. They gotta be somewhere. They gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, there's something I wanted to bring up too.
Oh, the Bowery King. We didn't even talk about him.
Oh my God! Yes, Lawrence Fishburne. Yes, thank you.
That was my second point. I was like, what else was there?
Character.
That's why I had the notes.
He was introduced to this movie.
Yeah,
Let's get into that real quick.
I liked, obviously, Lawrence Fishburne is always a win. Like, he's a good actor. And seeing him and Keanu on screen together is also always a win. That was really dope. And, sick. It's sick. Yeah. Rico scared me. He was very intimidating. But I thought it was really cool to see them both on screen together in a movie. Because I'm pretty sure last time was Matrix, right? Matrix Reloaded was the last time they were together on screen.
I believe so.
Yeah, because I know they're still friends in real life and they hang out and stuff, but we hadn't seen them in a movie in years. So when I heard Lawrence Fishburne was going to be in this, I was like, yes, please. Fuck yeah. And I liked his bombastic, like, caricature that he had for the Bowery King.
Yeah, he has a lot of charisma to his role, and I really like having that kind of energy in this movie. And I like that it introduced it. Again, that's another aspect that I think is a huge plus about this movie, where is the world building aspect. And I love that it introduces kind of like an underground kind of like homeless type world.
Yeah, like where they have they have a whole network of people who just look like they're homeless, but they're like killers. Because I loved how John Wick found that one guy, Earl, I think that's the name of the homeless guy who takes him to Bowery King, where he's running from the two dudes who are dressed like cleaners.
Yeah. Hey, you guys got some spare change.
He's like, they put it everywhere, man. They put it in the water. Hey, do you have a quarter? And he just shoots them both like nothing. I was like, oh shit.
I didn't expect that.
That was pretty dope. And I like how he just knew who he was. And I like the story that the Bowery King tells John, or he tells everybody around him and John about how they first met.
Oh yeah, how he first ran into John.
Yeah, and talking about how he's like, you gave me a gift, and he takes off his scarf, and you see the knife scar. He's like, you gave me a choice: either shoot you in the back and then bleed out and die, or hold on to the wound and live. He's like, ever since then, no one's ever snuck up on me, and I was just like, wow, that's cool. And I like I was saying to Matt that I like the bombastic like energy he gives, like he acts like he's a king. Like he acts like
exactly.
He's royalty, and I love that.
He's like, I'm big shit.
Yeah.
Like, you all bitches, like, you can say you're bigger than me, but I'm from the underground, bitch. I roll this.
Yeah, I mean, he has a network of pigeons. They can't be tracked.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, he has it all thought out.
No digital footprint.
Yeah.
Homeboy has some good points.
He does, yeah. And, well, there's this other part about that. I liked how when John is convincing him to help him, and then they have that interaction where he's just like, so do you want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun? And I was just like, that's John Wick. And then he's just like, someone please get this man a gun. And I was like, ah, shit. And then because, what was it, the contract was $7 million, he only gave him 7 bullets?
7 bullets, yeah.
And it was just, I can't remember the name of the gun because they bring it up again in the third one.
I think it was like M1911 or something.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Or 45.
I think it was a 45. I think it was a 45.
MP, I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But it's important. It's very important.
Yeah.
It does come back in the next movie. Yeah.
7 somethings. I don't know.
So with that being said, is there anything else we want to bring up?
I feel like we're pretty good.
No.
There's nothing else too significant that happens in this movie besides like the world building aspect.
He's saying "fuck this movie" is what he's saying.
I read in between the lines. You're not gonna catch me with that political ass attitude. Just dancing around it. Say what you mean.
I'm gonna let you do your rating first.
Yeah, do your rating
I want
first,
to hear it.
I'll let you do it.
I still really enjoy this movie. Upon rewatching it, it was my least favorite, and I think upon rewatching it this time, I think it still is my least favorite. I definitely think it's my least favorite of the 3, but that's not to say that it's bad. I still think it is above average for sure. I still think it is a good movie. It's a very entertaining movie. The action is quite awesome. It's over the top in some aspects, but that's what I love about it. There's a lot of choreography, a lot of work that went into it. There's a lot of great physical acting in here. The actors are putting in a great physical performance. I love the dialogue in some aspects. It's not as emotional as the first one. I wish it had a little bit more of those emotional beats in here.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell John has a lot of relationships with these characters, but you know, a lot of those aren't fleshed out. Like with the woman that he has to kill.
Gianna.
Yeah. So you can obviously tell there was an emotional past there somewhat, but you don't feel it too much.
Great body.
Yes.
Great body.
Gianna D'Antonio, let me get to the yams. Like, come on. Please.
And I thought that was an interesting way too. I mean, she went out on her own terms.
Yeah, she did. Which is something I also noticed with the similarities between the first one and the second one. John has an old friend who goes out their own way instead of being killed by the enemy.
That's a reoccurring theme.
Like first it was Marcus in the first one, and then in this one it was Gianna D'Antonio.
Everyone's just, there's a lot of the characters in this series, this franchise, are just badass.
Yeah.
Like,
and no fucks
just
given.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, if I'm gonna die, at least I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go out my own fucking way. Fuck you. Like, that's basically what they say, and you gotta respect that.
Hell yeah.
And again, like with the first one, this one has a great cast. They have a lot of good actors who are really giving their all and showing you that they're committed, just like Keanu is. So I really like that too.
Yeah.
That being said, 3. Giving a rating of 3.
I swear to God.
That said a lot of good things. It said a lot of good things.
You know what? I will accept like a 6, but if you go below that, I'm gonna punch you. He's
like,
yeah, no. I really
just like start swinging.
I still really enjoy this movie. It's not as emotionally complex, but that's okay. Still very entertaining. 7 out of 10.
I can accept that. I can accept that. That is a fair rating.
I'm giving it a 6. Just because if I go any lower, Andrew's gonna beat my ass in my own home. No, but I would actually give it a 6. I'm sorry. But I do enjoy this movie, but I felt like the turn on it. Because in the first movie, I really liked the simplicity of it. How it went from like very emotional, a lot of range on Keanu in the beginning, just right off the fucking bat. And then you see him just like taking out his anger and everything.
Right.
And then I feel like the first one was a very like, it could have been a standalone movie. The second one, you have like a continuation of it that's kind of like hammed in a way.
Yes.
But then it also is like, all right, well now we're gonna continue this franchise through this, and then they started like preparing for like new movies and everything. Yeah. The thing that got me so fucking hyped up, which almost made me make this a 7, and I've been teetering on it throughout this entire conversation, between 6 and 7, because I really do still enjoy this movie a lot, but the end was what got me hyped really fucking bad. And then I realized during this conversation that it got me hyped for the third one, because I was like, the whole thing about him breaking the rules and shooting him in the Continental, I was like, fuck yes, dude. And hell just like woke me up like immediately. I was like, oh shit, there's ramifications that are gonna happen, consequences.
Yeah, the movie does kind of teeter in the middle.
It teeters, and I found myself kind of like drifting in and out just a little bit. I was like, because I have fucking like lizard brain. I'm just like out here, like sometimes I lose concentration sometimes, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I feel like I wasn't as engaged as I was in the first one, because anytime there's like an emotional string that is being pulled, I feel like that like keeps my attention so much more. And I actually got a little emotional on the first one, a little bit on a couple spots. But the second one, I just felt like it was a continuation to also kind of like lean away from the emotional side and also focus more on world building. And then this was the only one where only one person directed it, right?
Yeah, Chad Stahelski, he directed this one and the third one. He directed all 3, but the first one was a co-effort between him and
David Leitch, right?
David Leitch, yes.
Yeah, so I feel like everything with the cast, fantastic. I feel like I liked them all. Bitch made shit in a couple spots.
Yeah, weaker villain for sure.
Yeah, but I realize it's what I would do. I'm bitch made. But at the
In
same
that
time,
situation, yes.
I'd definitely be. That's the smartest thing. Francis is the other smartest person.
So you hate that is realistic because it'd be you.
I'm like, God damn it!
You don't like being
God damn
reminded.
it! What is this? A character insert?
Well, you don't like being reminded you're a pussy? Huh? We're all pussies when it comes to John Wick.
Goddamn character insert.
I want to see someone fight John on his level.
I want to see someone cool. I want to live
We
vicariously.
saw that with Cassian. That was Cassian. You're not listening. Am I the only one who sees the cinematic genius that is John Wick Chapter 2?
But that was in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So all of a sudden, if the action isn't right off the bat, now it's a problem in the first one. You're talking about character and all this.
It's better than the Vigo fight. That's for sure.
Damn right.
Like, I'll give it. I'll give it that. But like, I should. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna
say some shit. I gotta say, it made me like Ruby Rose a lot. I think she was actually very, very attractive in this movie. I like her character in this movie. One of my favorite in the franchise.
Yeah, she was cool. I liked their fight in the Reflections
She's
of Soul
a
stuff.
freak.
Yeah.
She got deep in him.
You know.
Actually, that's an impressive thing.
She got that John Cock. You know what I'm saying?
She got that Johnny Gook.
Johnny Cook.
So when are you ready, Rico?
6.
6 out of 10.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Andrew, your turn.
Okay.
Andrew is playing
You're
Rico.
not gonna beat me up in my own bedroom, right?
You know what, Rico? You won't know.
So you grabbed the bottle. I flinched. I thought that was you grabbing a bottle.
No.
I flinched so hard.
I would have grabbed the bottle. No. I'm just telling you right now. You won't know when. And you won't know how. But I will strike. So consider this a professional courtesy.
Yeah, just know it's coming at some point.
So obviously, I like this movie more than these guys did. So I definitely understand their criticisms. They're not invalid. What they're saying is very much true. The movie does have a lot of issues, and it's sort of like this movie was made just for the sake of being made for the action, which is that's kind of the point of the next two movies, if we're being completely honest here.
Mm-hmm.
But me being a huge, everybody in this room is a huge fan of action movies. Like, that's just, that's apparent. Because if it's at the point where we're debating which John Wick movie we like the best, that just tells you they're all pretty solid movies. There's nothing terrible about them. They're enjoyable for everybody. Everybody has their favorites. Nobody in this room liked the third, we all love the third one, but it wasn't our favorite either. And I'm sure there's people listening who think we're fucking crazy for saying 1 and 2 are our favorites. When they're gonna be like, Parabellum was the best movie, had the best action, what's wrong? Like, I'm sure.
Did you see that fall he took?
Yeah. The horses, man. The horses. But yeah, I'll be honest. I feel like my rating is still the same as the first one. I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well, because as much as I think everything was elevated, I do agree with your guys' criticisms about it. Like, I don't think you guys are wrong for thinking that.
6, 7, 8. That's a good range. That's good. That's still a really good.
We're going in order.
Yeah.
From the least superior to the most superior opinion about this movie.
There is something crazy
valid.
I want to note, though. This rarely happens. I'm sure it's happened with other movies, but this is one that that's the first time I've seen it. But all 3 of these movies on IMDb all have a 7.4.
Whoa, really?
All 3 of them. Yeah.
Wow.
All 3
That's
of them,
crazy.
7.4.
What the fuck?
So, like, I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. Is
Yeah,
that,
they're
like,
all-
a lot
I
of
think-
people enjoy them on different levels for different reasons. And Rico and I's favorite is the first one. Yours is the second. I think so. Like I said, before this, the 3 was probably my favorite
me
because I
too.
love how bombastic the action was.
For the longest time
And-
after I saw John Wick 3, it was my favorite.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, it's interesting that like all of these movies have a level of quality in the action. It delivers on that sense full-heartedly, and I think it delivers on entertainment value on all 3 of them. And yeah, it makes me excited for the 4th one. And yeah, before the 4th one, we got a 3rd one.
We do.
Which we can get into right now.
Oh, did you finish your rating?
Oh, yeah, 8.
Okay.
So, Rico, since...
Oh, so you give it an 8?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I didn't even hear it.
Because I'm being honest.
So you give it an 8, but you like it more than the
Yeah,
first.
I do. Like, I enjoy it more, but I can definitely... Because for the longest time with this one, my rating was a 9 because it was my favorite. But then after listening to your guys' points... Because I already kind of noticed these when I, like... Because I've watched the John Wick movies a couple times. Because, if I'm being honest here, John Wick is, like, in my top 10 best fictional characters ever created. Like, I love him. He's one of my favorite characters ever. So each of these movies kind of, like... With me, they get a pass in a sense. Because I fully understand the story isn't always going to be there for...
Music.
Rico's cat just ran by the mic. That's how we all got scared.
I got a heart attack.
Atlas the Catless.
I was like, I'm gonna have to beat my child.
Come at me, father. he's like Kratos and you're Zeus. He's like Zeus. But anyway, like I love John Wick. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. So these movies will always get kind of like a leeway for me at times. So yeah, I would give it an 8. With that being said, let's get into 3. Do you want to introduce 3 since we each did one?
Yeah. So going into 3, I was super freaking hyped because of the ending of the second one. And so basically chapter 3 takes place pretty much immediately after the second one. Like I think it's like the nighttime of the same day. And basically,
that's a weird inconsistency because it's in the morning of the second one, and then
or I don't think it was the morning. It was like the afternoon, wasn't it?
No, like
it looks like
it looks straight morning.
Yeah, the color palette on it looks like it's cool.
Even in the second one, like the lighting kind of changed too. Like it went from kind of bright to like I don't know, where kind of dark. Or I don't know if you guys noticed because when he's walking up, you can see the shading, like
a little bit,
and then once it cuts to John, there's like more sunlight in the scene after.
But there's so much sunlight, and then in the third one, it's like, it's pure dark.
Yeah. They're in like a broad daylight. Yeah,
they really like I can
just
see that.
mild inconsistencies into the third one, which I know we've talked about it like outside the podcast, but I mean, sorry, introduce this.
movie.
So, sorry, we're just jumping the gun. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, it's good. That's a good conversation. Anyways, so pretty much. This one's taking place immediately after the second one, after the events of the second one, where Winston put the hit out on John Wick, saying that he's excommunicado. Basically meaning that because he broke the rules of the Continental, he is now fucked. So is it the High Table? High Table is now going after him, which is basically the Assassin Guild, like higher ups essentially. They're all going after John Wick. And he's got to pretty much battle through it, and then he's also got to like pretty much find a way to overcome this because now he wants to live. Because now he wants to actually like both get out of it, but then also like make deals with certain people to pretty much. I think I'm messing it up a little bit. Did the Boer King or what's his name? Bower King. Did he make the deal with him in the second one where he wanted him to like kind of like help him overthrow the High Table? Or
that's at the end of the third one.
That's at the end of the third. Which spoiler? Sorry guys, spoiler.
It's
been out
sorry, I thought it would happen before that. I'm sorry. I'm getting my.
With the second one, he just asked the Bowery King for help. Like he didn't ask him like, "Hey, help me overthrow the High Table." He just kind of was like, "Hey, just give me a gun or something. Like I just need your help. That's it." And then. I remember in that scene too, he's like, "You owe me now, John Wick." He's like, "You don't want me owing you."
Yeah.
Like I like that. That was cool. But anyways, back to the third one.
Yeah, so pretty much the High Table is trying to like get John Wick killed. They're like going after him and everything. And at the same time, everyone that has helped John Wick up to this point are also now free game essentially.
Yeah, the
adjudicator, something like that. Yeah.
They're everyone who helped John has been targeted by the High Table now.
Yeah, so pretty much the Bowery King is on the fucking hit marker. So is Winston, who is the manager of the Continental. He has 7 days to basically get his affairs in order, which means he's gonna die at the end of it, or it's alluded to that he was gonna die. And
get fired or something?
No, he just needs to be out of there.
Yeah, I don't think they were gonna say they were gonna kill him, but
yeah, like you just need to give up your grounds. You need to give up the Continental.
Yeah, and then his replacement and everything, because Winston's on the chopping block because he gave John Wick an hour instead of killing him on the spot because he witnessed the rules being broken in the Continental. So pretty much John Wick's making all these deals, trying to pretty much like get to the higher ups and like try to just get his way out of there. Talks to Halle Berry, talks to a bunch of people, gets the whole we'll go into it more in detail in a second, but goes through all of these people to get to the one above the table, gets a task in order to pretty much like save his life, but he would be at the service of the High Table going forward for the rest of his life. And Maybe I shouldn't tell the entire story.
No, it's okay. I mean, you're still going through the plot. I mean, you're good, dude. I mean, I think you did a good job.
Yeah,
I mean, we can get into it now.
Yeah, let's get into it. I was like giving the entire synopsis right
I
there.
mean, to be fair, this movie's been out since like 2019. If people haven't
3
seen it at
years.
this point, then that's enough time. COVID, people could have watched it during
I was
COVID.
telling the entire movie. I was like, oh wait, hold on a shit. What is
But
that?
anyways, to kind of backtrack to the beginning, I like the opening fight sequence at the library. I really enjoyed that. And for those who don't know, the guy who plays Ernest, and I found it really funny that the guy's name was Ernest, and they were in a library, almost like a reference to Ernest Hemingway.
Oh,
Like, I
didn't
thought that
think
was
about
interesting.
that.
I don't know if that was intentional, but I feel like it was.
I didn't even catch that
because that was the guy's name, and I just kind of thought about it because I was like, well, they're in a library, and his name was Ernest, and he's reading, and John was the book he was looking for at the library was Russian folktales. And then when Ernest walks in, he was reading Dante's Inferno to him, like quoting it. But Ernest was actually played by a famous Siberian basketball player named Boban Marjanovic. Because I recognized him, I was like, where have I seen this guy? And I looked up the John Wick 3 cast, and I was like, oh, he's a basketball player. He played on like the Clippers and a couple other teams.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I was just like, I wonder. It's interesting. They got like a sort of celebrity cameo in a way, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually really like that scene because when they're talking, basically John was saying he still has some time left before the hour's up, and Ernest tells him, "Who's gonna know the difference? 14 million is a lot of money." And John just looks at him and responds with, "Not if you can't spend it." Like I was kind of like, "Oh shit, that's a dope comeback."
Was Ernest the one that got the bookend kill?
Yes. That
Dude,
was
that was a cool fucking
that was
kill.
fucking tight, bro.
That was so. John Wick basically puts a book in his mouth, starts banging that shit against the thing, the bookshelves, throws him against the table, and then just cracks his fucking neck.
Yeah, that was
Okay, you
intense.
guys are gonna hate me.
I swear to God.
I don't think it's a great fight scene. I think it's okay.
No, it was a very quick one. I thought that shit was brutal.
I thought it was cool
I
for how
thought
quick
it
it
was
was.
brutal, dude.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it's a good death. I like the book Death. I don't think the fight scene as a whole is great. Like, I definitely noticed like some inconsistencies, like with like the prop knife. Like there was one moment it goes into John's shoulder, and you could literally see the push mechanism go in his shoulder, and like. Obviously, like later, you could see like there's like blood coming out of John's shoulder. I'm like, okay, thank God, like they at least addressed that. But you could obviously see like it's a push knife because when the knife comes out, there's no blood on it, and so I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever, like that's fine. And then like I don't like the fight scene with the book. I don't like that he's like legit like punching the book. Like there's a
It made
layer.
no sense to me.
That part-
Yeah, there's a layer.
But when he
in between.
snapped his neck, that was cool.
That scene was cool, but I don't think like the whole fight scene as a whole. I'm like, okay, this isn't as strong as like the first two, where it felt much more tight and much more well thought out. Where like in this, where I'm like, okay, this is just like, all right, we need to see cool action sequences that we can do in this, and it's I like how in the first movie they said like, "Oh, I've seen him kill a guy with a pencil," and we say that in the second movie.
I had that in my notes.
written down in my notes.
Yeah, I was
he
like,
actually killed
we
two
see.
people
I
with
like,
a
I like the
pencil.
way. Plus, Peter Stormare, the guy who plays Vigo's brother in that scene, he's always a win. He's a great actor. I like how he's just like, he killed the man with a fucking pencil.
Yeah.
Who the fuck can do that?
And then you see he puts it against the wall and slams the dude's head
And
into
that was in the second one too, right?
It was the
Where-
second one,
where
yes.
That was cool.
montage
So we actually get to kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the book scene is okay. I do like that. Like I said, they're using props in this movie, and they are pushing the boundaries of shit that they can do in this movie, just for the sake to say like, hey, we did it. And I think it's to some mitigating results. I don't think this was the best result. I think there was some. I still think there's some great action sequences here, but I don't love the book scene.
I think my only issue with the book scene was what you were saying, how he's punching the book. Because I think overall the fight with the book is still pretty solid. Like the way he's hitting him with the book, he's like hitting like his throat.
Yeah.
Like certain points, like you could tell that the hits he's using the book with are precise. The only time where I agree where it kind of fell off is when he starts punching the book. That was a little weird.
Yeah,
I thought
you're hurting yourself. You're hurting both. of
My
you.
mindset with that was like he was just trying to shove it
The
deeper
book,
in.
that's kind of what I thought, but like the way the book is set up, it's not even like the spine that's hitting him. It's just the entire book is in his face.
On his face, yeah.
Yeah, that was my like.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have looked a lot better if he was actually like using the spine part of the book and hitting his face. I feel like that would have been more effective. Kind of what he was doing before then. But I don't know why he starts punching the. Maybe he just hates words, no education. I don't know. But with that scene too, I liked how that Russian folktale book he had was just like a secret book.
No, yeah,
And
I like another world building aspect.
There was like the picture of Helen, the necklace that's gonna be significant later, and then the marker that's also gonna be significant later. Which there's something else I want to bring up that's part of 2, because you know how at the end Winston hands John a marker. You remember at the end where he's just like, you might need this down the road?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I want it. Do you guys think that's like a marker from Winston, like to John, like John did Winston a favor?
Oh.
Or do you? Because like I know, because if you look at the marker in the third one, it's not the same. It's like black and gold, and then the one Winston gave him was just all silver.
Maybe.
So I'm assuming Winston gave him a marker for something, but then he still had the other marker from Sophia, Halle Berry's character, who we meet later down the line.
I took it as like so he could use it on someone. Maybe.
I don't know because
I like your thought.
I like
that's,
that.
That's a good way of
was.
thinking about it too. That might be better. That might be the way it is.
That's what I think. I just that's kind of what I assumed when I first watched it for the first time in theaters. I was like, oh, so Winston's giving him a marker, so Winston can do him a favor.
Yeah.
But now that he's excommunicado, it's kind of like, will the marker still?
Yeah.
Well, because
that's another issue I had with this one specifically. How like he's excommunicated, but he's still
getting all these favors done. Yeah.
I guess you can argue it's because he's John Wick, so people are kind of like, well,
that's kind of like
if I don't help him,
don't
help him, I might die. If I do help him, I die. So like, and some characters in this one clearly don't like the high table, so it's just like they're like, yeah, low key, fuck him.
The thing about that is that like John Wick has like a lot of soft power. Just his name alone is like people are like, oh fuck, that's John Wick, or they either love him or they're just outright terrified of him.
Like there are the few who like don't like him.
Yeah. But it's like I like how each person he went up to that got help from, they were paid a visit by the abjudicator.
The adjudicator? Yeah.
Adjudicator.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a weird word.
Adjudicator. But so do you remember the ballet person?
Yeah, where John trained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find out his name? His actual name?
Yeah.
Did you miss that?
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I wrote it down.
His actual
I wrote it down because I was like, I feel like we're gonna talk
Giovanni
about
or something like that.
Close. It's I can't remember his last name, but it's Giordani. Let me see. Giordani. Where is it? I know I put it in my notes.
Well, there's a scene where the educator basically pays her a visit, and that's when she does the whole like penance thing for that, where she tells her to put her hands together and put them out in front of her
and pledge your fealty.
Yeah. And then she was like, I have been at service, I will be of service, or something. What is that?
It's I have been of service, or it's like I will be of service and I have been of service or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And then they put the sword through her fucking hands. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Brutal.
But with John Wick's real name, it's Giordani Jononovic, and he's an orphan child of the Breolas. And I looked up what that was. It's typically known as the Republic of Barlas, and it's located in Eastern Europe. It's bordered by Russia, Ukraine, Poland. So like that kind of gives us a hint that John Wick is actually like Russian, or he's from
that would explain
like
why
Southern Europe descent kind of thing, or I'm sorry, Eastern Europe descent.
Interesting.
So I thought that was cool, and I do like how when he goes. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot I wanted to talk about. The fight scene in the warehouse, the antique place.
Oh yes, where he's breaking glass, fighting with the knives,
dude. That was so cool.
The shit.
That shit was dope. That shit was dope.
Dude, when he was throwing them at that guy, like, oh, it was so meaty. Let me pull my notes out. I feel like I'm not even remembering a lot of this stuff.
That's why, because I knew I was gonna forget you. That's why I wrote down notes.
Again, this movie really hammers down on using objects. Yeah, like all right, knives. Great. Fucking using horses after that.
I will feel like the one scene that I felt throughout that whole antique warehouse sequence that was a little unnecessary was when he is assembling a gun and only fires one bullet and then runs.
No, I know.
I feel like that was a little I get what this. I don't even think that it was dumb. I get what the scene was. Like, I get what they were trying to, like, convey. Like, John is so tactically intelligent, he can build a gun with a bunch of different parts. Like, I get that, but it's sort of like an unnecessary scene.
Yeah.
It adds to Matt's point of, like,
he's showing
it's where it's just like,
he could have done anything
they're
else
doing
to
too much.
prepare
They're
better.
doing too much with, like, so little. But once it gets to the knife throwing and all that other stuff, for the breaking the glass to get the knives and stuff, that was great. Especially the part where he stabs the guy in the eye. And the effect looked really
You
good.
look at it, it's a
The
close up
effect looked
going
really
in.
good. That was really good.
That gave me what is it? Is it Dead Space 2 where
The surgery, yeah.
The surgery,
yeah.
yeah.
When he has to like operate on himself. It's like about the marker or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
fucking hate that.
Yeah.
I'd always see that clip in like Watch Mojo for like those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, the top 10.
Top 10
Bruce
gruesome.
deaths,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because I remember playing that shit when I was like in middle school, and that was like intense. I was
Yeah,
like, oh my
dude.
god. Like, and it's like it's completely your fault if you fuck it up and he dies. Like, you're the one in control. So it gave me that vibe too, for sure. Like, I felt that. I was like, oh god,
You get
Isaac,
that
I'm
body
sorry.
cringe,
Like,
dude.
Isaac
Like
Clarke, I'm
pure
sorry.
cringe on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did like that antique fight scene. That was really cool. That was the only gripe I had where he's building the gun. That was unnecessary, but I get it.
What'd you guys think of the horses?
Oh,
yeah.
they were hilarious.
That was hilarious.
It's just like,
That was
alright,
hilarious.
let's just, I can show off here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill this guy with a horse.
Dude,
Just
that
smash
first
it.
hit took me off guard.
I felt
so
that.
bad.
I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna.
I didn't even think. I thought they were gonna shoot the horse.
I
was
was
like-
so scared.
I was like,
yeah.
oh. I was like, they're gonna shoot the horse, or he's gonna jump on the horse and ride out of here. But then the horse kicked the dude. I was like, oh fuck! I didn't even think about that. Then he did it like twice.
He did it twice, yeah.
I was
He did
like,
it twice.
holy shit!
And then he literally rides away on the horse.
Yeah.
And then, like, because he, like, ties the guy to the rope and is dragging him while the horse is, like, tied up or whatever. Or the rope is tied on the horse or whatever. So what did you guys think of that sequence, though? When he's, like, on the horse and then it leads to the motorcycle chase?
Dude, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, and then he goes on the motorcycle and he fights with the sword. Yeah, the whole intro sequence is it's just so bombastic and over the top and crazy. But for me, it's a guilty pleasure, and I do think it is crazy and bombastic and over the top. But I like that shit. So besides like the book scene where it's a little kind of dumb in my opinion.
He's punching the book, yeah.
Yeah, I still think this is still very satisfying to watch. Like this is just these are great targets for John. It's a great excuse to show off this action,
Absolutely.
and I thought it was pretty cool.
All that was really cool. My only thing, like, this is where I started thinking logically while watching this, which you can't do with action movies sometimes, because if you do,
you gotta suspend
the movie's over. Like, I was thinking when the guys on the motorcycles were chasing him on the horse, I was like, why don't they just shoot the horse and he falls?
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I thought about that when I was watching it, like, recently for this episode. I was just like, you could just shoot the horse and John would fall and then shoot John.
Yeah,
But then
done.
that's the thing, you gotta you have to have that suspense of disbelief or whatever.
Yeah.
Or however you say it.
Especially in this movie, there are so many instances where John could have died.
This one, there's a few scenes later on in the movie where I was just like, that looked like a blunder in a way. But we'll get to that when we get there. But so anyways, when they're on the horse and everything, and then he like keeps on getting the motorcyclist to hit the cars and everything. That looked like such a meaty sound too. I was just like, oh fuck, dude. Like,
along with that, the whole motorcycle chase sequence when he's on the motorcycle and he has a sword. A lot of the deaths on the motorcycles, you're like,
yeah,
yikes, that's rough, buddy. Sorry you had to go out that way. Like, the one I remember specifically is when he cuts the guy's shoulder and his arm is like bleeding, and then it gets caught in the tire and he fucking flips. I was like, oh my god, that poor man, he's fucking dead.
all of them are dead.
They're all dead, yeah.
John gets creative with his skills here.
He really does.
So the one of the next things I wanted to talk about was Halle Berry's character, Sophia.
Yeah, we can go into the
Because she's pretty much the next plot point
Can
that we
I
get to.
can I do my reaction first on this one?
Go ahead.
I don't like Halle Berry for a lot of reasons. I always feel like she overacts a lot, and I feel like in every movie you have like a lot of characters that are really just fucking cool because they're so professional in a way. Her, every time she delivers a line, it's either like super emotional or super angry. Like, I mean emotional as in my daughter. Like,
No, I agree. There is kind of like no in between.
there's
I agree.
no in between.
Yeah, like I noticed that this time around. I'm like, okay, she is a little annoying. I mean, it is serviceable, and I do think it's fine for what it is. I think I like it more than you. From how it sounds. Yeah, I don't think it's like awful.
Yeah.
It's serviceable for what it is, but I do agree that it's not like super complex character writing here. It's mostly just she does great in the action sequences, which is what she mostly does.
Yeah.
It doesn't really focus too much on that emotional stuff, which, you know, I know, yeah, I can feel you don't
I
like all
hated
that.
that. I was just like, oh, come on.
I don't mind it too much, but I agree with you that it's not the most emotionally complex.
And that's sort of my thing with all these movies. There's even like with the first one, sure, there's emotional stuff, but it's surface level emotional stuff. It's like generic, like, you know, oh, my wife's dead and my dog's dead. Like that's like, and I'm not trying to like knock it down or anything because it works for me. Because like I was talking to Matt about it on our way here to your place. That like I'm here for the action. The story isn't really my concern, and the directors know that too. You're not here for the. And granted, I also told Matt, I think had they focused more on story, they could have had a good balance of action and story. But they didn't. They chose to focus on the action because they understood the kind of movie they were
really jumped
making.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they understood the kind of movie they were making, and I feel like maybe possibly if they tried to do like more emotional depth or whatever, people probably wouldn't have liked it as much and just been like they should have focused more on the action. I feel like that's something that could have been pointed or criticized to the movie had they tried to.
Well,
But it doesn't. It's still not an excuse to not at least try to. You know?
no,
Yeah.
because I mean, like I said, all these movies on IMDb are 7.4. So like, obviously, like it's striking a chord with some people that like for example, like me and Rico like the first one more, which we would rate higher. But there were some people who do like the action more, so they would rate 2 or 3 higher. So like, I could definitely see how like I definitely like how at least. If they're gonna double down on something, they're gonna double down on the action, and it is great action for the most part. So that's what I do like about the third movie, and they're at least trying new things, like I said with the horses and you know the dogs, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, the dogs are great. The dogs are great.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we can get into
might
it
as well
now.
get into it
Yeah,
since we're talking about
Halle
Halle
Berry. Yeah, because I mean, her dogs are the goodest of boys.
They are the goodest.
Yeah.
Them and John Wick's dog. They are the goodest boys.
Yeah, but Halle Berry's will rip your fucking balls off.
yeah.
Like, holy shit. Yeah,
Brown and the Blackwater.
yeah, we were watching some of the behind the scenes before we set up here, but yeah, those dogs are really going after these characters. Like, they would have devices set up around their crotches because they would have certain scenes. They would have, you know, crotch bites.
They were just they called it what? Just the toy, right?
Just the toy target.
Yeah, toy target. Yeah,
to
that's what they called
focus
it.
their attack.
And it's like the toy target was like green screen, like it's the color green, so they could like edit it out later in post. And I liked how the dog trainers were explaining that like these dogs don't know it's a movie, so when they're biting the stunt guys, they're biting to kill. And then, I was just like, God. Then damn.
Also, when they're going into someone, they are going full force charging into these people. So imagine all those dick bites that were there.
Oh my God, there were so many.
There were so many. They're all getting a dog full fucking sprint into the cock. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh. Even if you have a cup on, you're still feeling that.
That's gonna hurt. And I don't remember the kind of dogs they said they were. Do you guys remember?
They're like police dogs.
Yeah, they're like
they weren't German Shepherds.
They're like military unit K9 kind of dogs. I don't remember.
I can't remember what breed they were.
Because they did mention it in the behind the scenes. I just don't remember what it was called.
But yeah, so they had those dogs from
Belgian Maloney's.
There we go. Yeah,
Maloney's.
I don't know how to pronounce that, to be honest. Malinois?
Let me see.
Belgian Malinois?
Yeah, so they had those dogs since birth.
Oh, yeah, you said it right. Belgian Malinois. I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
It's pretty sure that's how you say it.
Hey, that's how we're going with it.
That's what we're running with here, kids.
We're in consensus.
That's what we're gonna do here.
But they were good boys. Yeah.
They were the goodest boys. They were.
Yeah. Yes. Fucking went in. Great action sequences with them, but there are some criticisms I want to get into that sequence. But go on, Rico.
Yeah, so they had those dogs for 7 months from birth, basically. And for those 7 months, they trained them. and they got him to do what they wanted to do. It just kind of reminds me of like the kind of passion that they put into Keanu Reeves. Basically, they knew that the dogs were going to be like a big, like the changing the game type of thing. This it's going to put Halle Berry's character way above like all the characters we've seen before.
Right.
And they also had her basically training the dogs for, I think they said 4 months, right?
Yeah, she stuck with them every day.
Yeah,
while they would shoot.
every day playing with them, and then also becoming so like respected by them that they treated her no different from an actual trainer. So she was like able to do all these things, have them go between her legs, crouch down with them, have them be able to like be sucked, like have them attack on a command. Yeah, so I'm like, that was so cool seeing all that. I was like, dude, she probably loved that shit. That was probably like once in a lifetime type of role that you could get for something like that.
Yeah, that whole action sequence with the dogs and that whole section, I do like it quite a bit, but I also don't at the same time. My major criticism with it is that I can tell it is a controlled set.
Yes. Yes.
Very much so. Yeah, like okay, that's a very conveniently placed ladder.
Oh, the dog's gonna die.
Yeah, like that's a convenient spot for them to crouch under. It feels like a Call of Duty map in some aspects.
There's one part where this guy gets hit by the dog and he falls onto a crash mat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did you see that? I was like, oh. I was like, oh, come on.
Okay, I didn't even notice.
It felt very much like a set.
No, yeah, but the whole I can feel like it. Yeah, it's a whole controlled set. Like I could tell that it was a set where like it didn't immerse me in that sense. I could see that it was a set, and I still think the action sequences were well choreographed and still well done. But yeah, that was just I guess a downgrade for me from the second movie where we got that action sequence in Rome, right?
Yeah, the catacombs.
Yeah, the catacombs. Yeah. That action sequence was really on point, and I think they perfected it there. But this, I did love the dog action sequence, but
they tried.
The fact that it looked like a set kind of did take me out of it a few times, but I was still very much entertained and enthralled by the action because the dog action sequences are very impressive.
Right.
Some of the shit that they get the dogs to do are very impressive, like in terms of like jumping up a wall and stuff, jumping on the backs of Halle Berry and whatnot. Like, there's some cool shit here.
Yeah. My thing with that, though, like, I totally get where you're coming from in terms of it looks like a controlled set, but you have to consider that they're working with these kinds of dogs, so I kind of gave it a pass.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the reason I gave it a... Because I definitely agree.
Well, even the cats.
It looks like...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was confused by that.
I was about to bring that up because for those who don't know...
some cats off set?
No, because apparently where they were... The location where
they were in Morocco.
Morocco, yeah.
So they
Morocco.
Okay.
Morocco
Okay, yeah.
So they're pretty famous apparently that there's always stray cats everywhere in Morocco. So the dogs would go like fucking ballistic every time they'd see a dog. Like they'd be in the middle of shooting a scene and then a cat would like kind of just be there and the dogs would see it and they'd go crazy. So with that being said, like it being a controlled set, I definitely get why they had to do it like that. Yeah. Because you're trying to get the dogs to do what they're supposed to, but if they see a cat, they're gonna try to kill the cat.
Yeah.
Like that it was like Halle Berry was saying behind the scenes, like it's just that natural, that naturistic of the animal. Like, you know, cats and dogs don't like each other. There's just that whole thing. So, it's kind of funny, but it's like, it's true. Dogs don't really like cats and cats don't like dogs. It's just how that
just
works.
want to play.
Oh, yeah. You see the cat would have like a cracked neck and the dog just holding his mouth like, we were just playing. Fun. They're just playing, I swear.
Hey, this guy looks like a great time.
I give it
No, because my dog Tank, he loves cats. He doesn't like, my dog Luna, she will kill a cat. Like if she met Atlas, she'd probably try to kill Atlas. But if Tank met Atlas, if Tank met Atlas, Tank would want to play with her.
That's why you don't go out.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
Atlas is on the prowl.
He's about to go after you.
He's about to be Cat Wick over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely get your criticism that it feels like a control set, but I try to give it leeway because of how ambitious shooting the dog action sequence kind of is when you really think about it.
That one scene where Halle Berry's like, jump on me to jump up there, basically, and the dog like scales the wall. To me, it looked hella fake. I thought it was special effects, but then we seen in the behind the scenes where the dog actually had like strings attached.
Like
He was on a wire.
like,
harness,
Just
yeah.
test it.
I was like, oh.
It was quite a leap.
Yeah,
but
I was
still.
like, But a lot of it, it's like, the one thing I don't like about the, like, some dog attacks is that anytime someone gets bit by a dog, like in the arm, their entire body goes limp like that, and they're just, like, completely immobilized. I mean, you have a gun in the other hand.
It's true.
I was really surprised none of the dogs died. I thought she was gonna die in this scene.
I mean, they did have bulletproof armor too.
They did,
I
yeah.
mean, I didn't notice any of the dogs being shot.
They
too.
could get a headshot, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Which-
I mean, the first thing coming at you is the head.
Yeah.
So I was like,
But then again, I don't know, because I mean, from what I hear, just from what the guys were saying, what I've heard about those kind of K9 unit dogs, they're pretty fucking strong. Like their bites are gonna hurt you regardless. So some people could probably go into shock or whatever, because you know, I don't know if you guys have been bitten by a dog, but that shit fucking hurts. So like,
I bet, dude.
it is not fun.
I
It is
can
not
imagine.
fucking fun.
in this universe, I haven't been bitten. I got scars right here.
No,
But,
so you know, it's like
yeah.
it ain't fun.
No, I grappled that shit, fucking dog.
Yeah.
I fucking grabbed that thing for an hour. But anyway, so what was it? I mean, in this like universe and everything, people take body shots and continue to fight John Wick until they get hit in the head, like right after. But it's like, I'm like, dude, in this universe, people are just tanking body shots and then like still fighting during it, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, what do you mean?
In a lot of the fight sequences, like
In this
John,
one, or you mean like all of them, or just this?
all of them.
Yeah, I feel
All
like
of
no. I feel like in this one it pushes the excessiveness.
does.
No,
push it
because
a lot.
for me, like with the first two, I never really picked up on that. I just looked at it as more like John's just shooting them multiple times, and then he shoots them in the head.
There's a lot
Oh,
of
but
scenes.
that's specifically in the first one.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
second
the first
and
one
third,
is clean, like John.
yeah, clean. That's
Clean,
the best
yeah.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah, it's
a great way to.
Anytime
describe
you
it.
shoot someone in the stomach or in the gut or midsection area, immediately shot in the head. Like, it was very quick and clean on it.
Yeah.
And the more later movies, they get shot and then they'll just keep fighting. You've seen it in the second one, I think it was, when the sumo guy gets shot like hella times in the kidney, shot through the head, and then shot through the head again. And
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
it's crazy. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but with
How
that
is this?
with that one though, he didn't even really like fight. He just tried to stand up, and then John. Well, not even like stand up. He was on the ground, slowly getting up, and then he shot him. But I get what you're. I
A
get what you're
lot
saying.
of it is like, but I mean, like that was just an example. There's like a lot, like where it's just like random people get shot in the belly or something, and then they're like getting up or something. I'm like, stay the fuck down. Like, there's no way you could do that.
There are some fight sequences in this movie, too, that like it overindulges a little too much. Like it kind of feels like a video game in some aspects. Like more towards the end, where we get like, you know, a level of
the
bosses.
final boss,
Basically, like, all right,
You do get
level
that
2
feeling,
now.
yeah.
You're gonna fight 2 of them at the same time.
But then
With respect to you.
yeah. And then what was it? But I will admit though, I feel like that was kind of intentional though.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
all
it was
the
like,
decisions they
okay.
make,
Yeah.
like it's super obvious they're being so ridiculous about it, but you're kind of like, that's kind of what I'm here for, ridiculous action. Like,
I just think it's a little weird because earlier in the movie, those two like are mean mugging the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna kill you, John Wick.
Yeah.
But then, like, when they fight, it's like, oh, I'm John Wick. We respect the fuck out of you. Yeah, we'll give you one
They
pass.
could have killed him.
yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still really enjoyed all those fights. Like it looked
No, it
like
was-
doing the glass house is what they called it behind the scenes. Like I thought
Yeah.
that whole sequence was really dope. How they
Yeah,
used
that
the
was
LED
sick.
lights and everything, and how they had to really they were throwing the actors into the actual glass. Like that was really cool.
Oh,
And
should we talk about before when they're the Continentals going against the?
well, that's after that fight scene, isn't it?
No, that's before.
Really?
Yeah, that's before because he kills all them and then makes his way through the
Yeah,
last.
he's correct.
The last like ninja people.
Yeah, he's correct. Rico's right.
So it was the raid first, and then the guys.
Yeah, 'cause
Yes,
then,
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
because,
right.
because
No,
like,
you're right.
Because once he finishes the last guy,
yeah,
he
they
goes.
go to that.
Yeah,
The final scene.
for the
right, right.
parlay.
Yeah. Parlay.
Yeah,
Parlay.
parlay.
Yeah, but the reason fucking Continental's getting fucking invaded is because like freaking John gets fucking sent to kill Winston.
Yes.
'Cause
Oh,
he
that's another
finds
thing we
the-
forgot to mention.
by the one above.
The elder. That's
Yeah.
what it's called. Yeah.
So there is somebody that is above the high table that you could go to,
Mhm.
called the One, and John goes to seek him out, and the only one that knows how to get to him is a member of the high table, which is Or Halle Berry.
Sophia's old boss. I don't think he was a member of the High Table, was he?
I think he was a member because he couldn't be killed.
He knows. He knows the location of the one. I think he is a member of the High Table.
He is a member because I think he couldn't be killed. I think he was like a made man essentially.
Yeah, and I mean he pushes the line because like fucking he fucked with the dog.
But I don't remember them mentioning he was a member of the High Table though.
He might not be,
I don't
but
think he is.
he still knows where the one is.
I kind of just assumed.
I think he's pretty connected, like Winston, but he's not a member of the High Table because he used to be the manager at the Continental in Morocco, where Halle Berry's character Sophia was.
Oh, was it?
So he wasn't a member of the High Table. He just used to be a manager, and he let Sophia take over for him.
You have to look this up.
Why was he protected then? Why couldn't she kill him?
Well, no, she was just. I think it was more of like she made a deal with him or something like that.
He created all the currency, their shadow currency.
He works. He runs the currency in Morocco, I think specifically, because he had like the first coin that was in circulation and the first marker.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think he was a member of the High Table. I think he was just a really well endowed member within that community, like the underground community. I don't think he was a member of the High Table.
Gotcha.
Well, he still knows the location.
He still knows his shit. Like
he doesn't know the location. No one really does.
He just said the elder finds you or whatever.
I did not like that.
I didn't like that either because it's like there's no possible way they would know. Like it's not like they have a
following him with like a drone or something. Like
imagine
it is a little You have to suspend your disbelief quite a bit, and it is a little okay.
I wasn't like a big fan of the scene with the elder either.
Yeah.
It was kind of like one note and not anything original.
Yeah.
And then the guy that got to play the elder, like he's a good actor. He played I think what was his name, Samir in Wonder Woman or something like that. I can't remember his name. But he played the guy in Wonder Woman, the first one, who wanted to be like an actor, but then he had to join the military. I don't know if you guys remember that character. He was a part of Steve Trevor's crew or whatever.
I never watched Wonder Woman.
Really? You've seen Wonder Woman, right?
Well, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about? Like
No.
He was like one of the side characters.
I mean, I would need to rewatch the movie again.
Yeah, never mind.
The
point is, like, that guy, it's not like he's a bad actor or anything, but I was just kind of like, I wasn't buying him as an elder here. Yeah. I wasn't believing it.
I felt the same exact way too. Like, I don't know, he just wasn't very compelling to me.
Yeah, he was pretty one note.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, John Wick cuts his finger off to prove fealty. Yeah. His wedding finger, and then gave his wedding ring, which I was like, I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah.
I was like, shit.
That's the one thing I enjoyed about that whole scene was that you're seeing John fall off the deep end. Like, he's literally doing all this for Helen, even though she's already, because I liked when he explained his reasoning. He's like, I'm doing this to remember Helen, because if I die, no one else will remember her.
Yeah.
So I thought I was like, okay, I could see why he would do that, but once he, like, I feel like that scene contradicts itself because he's like chopping off his wedding ring.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that's him trying to show his fealty to the elder and the High Table and everything.
But he goes against that decision later.
Like later on. Yeah, that was
immediately after when he has to do it.
Yeah,
and then Winston is like, are you gonna kill me or are you gonna help me go against the High Table? Like, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then Winston was like, I'd rather die at the hands of a friend than an enemy, and he hands him the gun. And then the fucking adjudicator shows up again. And how did you guys feel about the adjudicator?
I did not like her.
Okay, how did you feel about her?
I mean, yeah, she's one note. I wouldn't say I disliked her. She served her purpose.
Mm-hmm. Like, the actress, she's fine. She's not bad or anything.
I didn't like her facial reactions on a couple parts where she, like, ate, like, the blowfish. The blowfish, and she made a really weird face while doing it. She's like, I was like, stop, put your tongue away.
Yeah. I was like, all right, Venom, take it easy.
She was like, I eat this blowfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she hires a group of assassins who we see throughout the movie who are
pretty badass.
They are
very
pretty
badass.
They're like shinobis, I think.
Yo, when they were like slicing everyone up, they would
in the Russian theater, right?
Yeah, so they were like stabbing them through the neck and then kept slicing their bodies, like multiple people just stabbing through them. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's already dead off the first hit. Why are you continuing to fuck him up?
Yeah, these fuckers are crazy.
Like, each one of them got like 12 hits in. I was just like, dude, stop stabbing him.
Because the assassins hit the Russian theater where John goes, where you meet the ballerina.
Yeah.
By the way, do you guys know about that spin-off movie they're doing called Ballerina?
Are they really?
It's within the John Wick universe, and it's starring Anna de Morris.
Huh, I'll have to look into that.
I don't. She played.
I think she's in Knives Out.
Yeah, she's in Knives Out. She plays the girl who throws up when she lies.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love her.
Yeah,
She
she's a
played
good actress.
Marilyn Monroe recently.
Yeah,
And
and then she was also in The Gray Man
yeah.
with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans.
They're really trying to like spread this John Wick franchise, aren't they? Huh?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm honestly.
I mean, they've established enough lore at this point.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm surprised nobody isn't connected to John Wick because they're the same guys,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels a lot. It feels very similar to John Wick.
Oh, nobody is in
Yeah.
the. Oh, okay.
I don't think they've confirmed it, but I'm surprised that they haven't yet. I mean, because to be fair, I do like Bob Odenkirk. For those who don't know who that is, he plays Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He's a good actor. Like, I like him.
I like him.
And he does good in that movie. And he's like Keanu. He commits to the physicality of the role. Like, it's like he does good. The movie itself, I enjoyed it, but it's not the greatest. You know, it's sort of one of the weaker links.
I like John Wick more for sure.
No, yeah, definitely. But anyways, back to John Wick.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up. We're almost at 3 hours.
We are. Oh my god, that's around the time Cloud Atlas was.
Cloud Atlas, yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Anyways, before we get more sidetracked, I want to talk about what was it? The Shinobi stuff? I think they call themselves Shinobis.
I don't know. Ninja.
Ninja Shinobi. I liked how they hid in the shadows and stuff and would strike the enemies like in plain sight, and you'd be like, "Oh shit, that's where they were." Oh shit, and I like that because later on when they meet John Wick and they start doing that shit to him, he starts adapting.
doing it too,
he starts adapting to. He's like, "Oh, you think I can't do this shit? I'm John motherfucking Wick, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I will do this and do it better than you do." Like, I love that. That was so cool.
Would you guys think about the head shinobi's fanboying of John Wick?
I could believe it. It wasn't like the actor does a good job, but it wasn't like necessary. I guess in a way,
It wasn't necessary.
You can make that argument for sure.
It really does just seem like he's trying to like be separate from like or stand out from like the other villains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it's something different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate it on that way. I think the main antagonist in this is for sure the Adjudicator a little bit more.
I would just.
I mean,
it's hard to pin down who the main antagonist is here.
I feel like
Love
it's her
assholes
for
in
sure.
because there's
like the other guy actually has respect for John Wick. He doesn't like want to kill him. He's more there for like the thrill of the fight. I mean, he's also a hired gun too.
yeah.
So like,
It's whatever. Then there's the Adjudicator. There's the High Table themselves. There's
it's a high table and the Adjudicator for sure.
But I feel like I guess that's kind of one of my gripes is that we don't ever really get to see the High Table.
I know.
Like they're mentioned so much, but we never see them.
I feel like they're gonna try to make like 2 more movies.
Maybe in the 4th one we'll see a member of the. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah, I definitely can see like the 4th and 5th one definitely. Yeah, touching on the high table a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe seeing some aspects of. I definitely feel like they're going to try to tie some of the past events into, like, maybe. Okay, I could definitely see them maybe doing something dumb along the lines of, like, oh my god, like, Helen was actually poisoned by the high table. Just to get John back into action.
I swear to God,
shit like that.
Why would you say that? You spoke it into existence, man. I would be so mad if they do that. I would be so fucking mad. I was like, that just takes away all of John's development.
Yeah.
Because it was a natural cause. There was nothing or no one who did it. It just happened, and that's something that was out of his control.
That's just something that happens in life. It's a real fucking thing.
I would hate that. I would hate that so
man.
much.
Yeah, I can just see some sequelitis bullshit. Write that in and be like, oh, we need to expand it somehow.
I honestly,
Helen was actually secret agent. We need to get her or something. Something dumb.
We needed you to exit the field so that some other people can rise.
Yeah,
can rise up in the ranks.
but yeah, freaking, this movie did set up the 4th movie pretty well. I definitely think the 2nd movie has the best ending where it ends on that oh shit factor.
Yeah.
This definitely does end on an oh shit factor, but in a much more kind of like, okay, how did he survive that kind of way?
There's absolutely no way. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah, we have to wrap this up.
Yeah,
soon.
we do.
I'm sorry,
So
guys.
this
I keep
is
saying that.
no. I know.
It's all
Sorry,
right.
we're sorry, guys. This is probably going to be our longest episode yet, which is I kind of saw it coming because we're doing a trilogy.
Yeah,
So
we gotta
Anyway.
kind of anticipate that going
Yeah.
forward.
anyway, the ending of the movie, Winston and Sharon, right? His
Yeah.
desk keeper, whatever. They have a parlay with the adjudicator. Basically, they was like, let's come to a truce or whatever. John goes through that final fight with the shinobi, and after he meets them on the roof where they're having the parlay, they're talking and stuff, and Winston is basically saying that, like, you can replace me here at the Continental, but I have so many connections outside the city. Keeping this Continental running without me is going to be a pain in the ass for you.
Yeah.
That's basically what he tells the adjudicator, which I was like, all right, Winston, you're out here.
Yeah, and I like his line where she was like, "Yeah, we are the high table," and he's like, "Well, we are New York
City."
Yeah. Ooh, damn.
I was like, man, I wish I was a New Yorker just so I could feel that pride that
Yeah.
everyone probably got flushed with. I was like, oof.
New York, baby! I think you hear some random guy who's listening in on the conversation. But anyway, so Winston and the adjudicator are coming to an agreement. And then basically she was like, oh, so you did all this to prove like you could stand your ground and hold on to the Continental. And he was just like, yep. And basically Winston betrays John by telling her, I will, Matt just did air quotations.
Yeah, betrays, yeah.
Quote unquote, which is what I was going to bring back earlier about my point with the marker. But anyway.
It makes
Well, I'll explain it right now. But anyway, so John gets betrayed by Winston. Winston's like, I will pledge my fealty to the high table yet again, as long as I can keep my power, da-da-da-da-da. And the adjudicator says, what do we do about John Wick? And he's like, well, he has to die.
Mhm.
And he starts shooting him, and he's obviously not shooting him in the head.
yeah.
He's shooting him like where all the
On the
padding,
bulletproof
the bulletproof
vest.
suit,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then he falls off the roof, hits like some weird wall
Slanted.
railing.
Slighted roof, yeah.
A slighted roof. He hits a
Feasible.
metal railing of like a staircase, and then he lands. Was it like he hit a dumpster and then hit the ground, or just hit the
Yeah,
ground?
basically,
Okay,
yeah.
so he hit a dumpster. And
The
then,
slide, if it was all slanted shit,
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he hits the bar and then boom,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, like, yeah, homeboy's tough, but
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
I
still
mean,
a human being. This is where like when you were talking about how the third one wasn't really your favorite anymore,
mm,
and I was kind of like, I see what he means now, because like
Yeah.
I missed when John took hits and you see that it hurt him physically.
Yeah,
now,
dude.
He's at that point that I hate with action protagonists where he's just invincible.
Yeah, because in the first movie, I think it was like a beer bottle that stabbed him, basically, and that affected him the rest of the movie. He got punched there. He was like, "Fuck!" Like he was losing fights because of it. This one, what the fuck? Like, oh my god, dude!
It was a whole thing. And then you find out that John Wick is gone. The adjudicator tries to check where his body is. She tells Winston, and Winston's just like, Baba Yaga. Like he's freaked out about the fact that John Wick's gone now. And you find out that one of the side characters who were in the beginning of the movie, one of the homeless Bowery men who has like that watch saying "Tick-tock, Mr. Wick," picks up John's body, takes him to the Bowery King, and the Bowery King is like, "You pissed off, John?" And John's like,
By the way, real quick, we didn't talk about this.
No.
Bowery Bowery King got his ass pushed in.
"Oh, he got
Yeah.
fucked up." That's
Yeah.
right. We forgot to mention
yeah,
that.
he got stabbed.
Yeah,
him
He got
and people.
7 bullets, 7 cuts. That's what
Yeah.
they said.
And he's like, when she says that, he says, turns around and says, "Sometimes you gotta cut a motherfucker."
That's what I mean. I love Lawrence Fishburne.
I was
in the
like,
role.
bro,
He's great.
this motherfucker's so fucking badass. And then he's all like,
Long live the king.
yeah, long live the king.
Yep, in that deep ass voice. Yep,
He
gets cut
slid
down.
up 7 fucking times. I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Fucking makes it though.
Yeah.
Dude, you see all this stitching and how fucked up he is. So it was really cool, and he's like basically telling John like, "Fuck the high table, let's go to war."
Yeah.
John's just like his iconic "yeah" line, like he's always saying "yeah" like in every movie. He always just says it. I will admit, I like that. I
Yeah.
think it's funny that he has basically his catchphrase just "yeah."
To quote, yes,
Yeah, pretty
or
much.
be seeing you. Yeah.
Or
That
BC.
was a great line. I love
like
it when
that.
he
I like
says that.
That, and again, I still consider this a professional courtesy. I think that's still my favorite John Wick line. I fucking love that shit. But anyway,
Yeah, you guys want to get into ratings or anything else you want to mention? I feel like we're pretty good here.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm pretty good too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, freaking. I mean, I think I've gone first on the first two.
Do you want me to go? I can go first on this one.
Yeah.
So, I gotta say, I really like this movie because I just watched it like just a little bit before we did the podcast, catching up on it.
We caught some of it with them.
Yeah, you watched The Last Fight with me. So basically, with this movie, I really, really liked it. At first, when we were talking about the first movie, I thought that this is going to be my number one over the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
However, I started thinking about it more as I had more time to digest it in my mind, essentially. And when we were setting up for the podcast, I realized I said it before the podcast, but I said I feel like the John Wick franchise is starting to take like a turn to like the Fast and the Furious franchise, where it's like we went from racing for pink slips to we're in fucking space or something like that. And I'm like, it's just like in the first one, he would shoot someone in the gut just to get a good clean headshot, and then he would move on to the next person. This one, he's taking like, there's a part where he throws a guy off of the scaffolding, he hits another scaffolding, and he's shooting him with this fucking...
Oh, yeah, with the shotgun,
with the armor-piercing shotgun shells, like...
the high tables, like, enforcers.
Yeah! And it's like, it's shown one of them is enough, but he's going goo, 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 goo.
Excessive,
the entire way down, and the blood just shooting all over the fucking place off of the one. I was like, dude, he could have died off of the first one. You didn't need to keep unloading. And he did it so many times he was out of bullets through the gun, and then went back to his pistol, which was not very effective. And it's like, oh my god, why did you do that?
Yeah, wait, with that part, wasn't it before he had the armor piercing? Because I remember what you're talking about. It's like when he had the assault rifle, not the armor piercing shotgun.
It was the armor piercing shotgun. Yeah, he was just like
when he had no, that part I remember, but I mean like when he threw the gun. I think that was the assault rifle that he threw, and then he took out the pistol.
Oh no, this is a different part. This is towards the end of it.
I think he threw a few weapons.
Oh no, he didn't. No, I know what you're talking about now. When he threw the shotgun later on, because I was thinking about the opening of that whole fight sequence.
Yeah,
where he's like,
he didn't throw the shotgun at someone. He just finished out his last shells and then dropped it and then pulled out his gun and then took care of the last couple people.
That's true. Because the one I was thinking of was when towards the beginning when he had the assault rifle and he didn't know they had the armor.
Yeah,
and he was shooting and then he ran out of ammo and he threw the assault rifle. That actually made me laugh.
That was pretty funny. I think we all laughed.
Yeah, and then he pulled out his fucking pistol afterwards. But I will say, like, the one thing I do enjoy about these movies is, like, just altogether, just how John is always adapting to his situation.
Yeah,
like
he's going for the joints, he's going for the neck,
finding
and, like,
spots,
doing all that, pulling up their mask and shooting them like that.
So, anyways, back to your rating.
Yeah, anyway, so, like, there's a lot of things where I'm just, like, it's just getting a little over the top. And then especially with that falling off the roof, like that shit was crazy.
That's fair.
And then when you see the dogfight, you see a lot of like things where it just kind of looks like it's like people are like fumbling their hands a bit to give the people a little bit more extra time to kill them. And it's like I've seen a lot of that. It's just a little blunder. It's not as smooth as it was in the first one. So I still like this one a lot. I'm not giving it an 8. I'm giving it like a 7. Like
nice.
So I would say I still really enjoyed it. I thought some of the shit in this was fucking creative as hell. Close to it.
Yeah, I'd say the action for sure like elevates it for me.
Definitely,
like,
dude.
They just the work they put into those sequences.
The creativity with the dogs, with the mirrors, and like the things that they did with the mirrors was really, really cool. And I just think the horse cool. It was just a fun movie, just fun. I'm giving it a 7.
Okay. Nice.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah. Before this this rewatching of the trilogy, the third one stood out as my favorite, and it always stood up as my favorite in my head. I really liked the action. I thought just it focused so heavily on that, and that's what I loved about this franchise. And I thought that doubling down on that at the time was like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted. And still, I am still entertained by that, but I think I got a much more emotional experience from the first one, and that's why I still think the first one is much more better, much more deep, emotional, more complex story. Still very simple, don't get me wrong. Like, I know it's a very simple fucking movie. I know it's not like fucking Schindler's List or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I know it's not like super deep or anything, but you know, it has that emotional basis in there that the other two don't.
Yeah.
And I still really do like the third one. Yeah, I liked it for like a lot of the same reasons. I like the first and second one. I like it a little less than the first one. I don't know if I know I said the second one's my least favorite, but this one isn't too far behind. I would put them on the same level. Same level for me. I would rate them the same. I give this one a 7 out of 10 as well. Very entertaining watch. Very excited for the fourth one.
Dumb fun.
Yeah.
Yes, very dumb fun. Very entertaining, and yeah, I think it's a good definition of a good old fashioned popcorn flick. You know, you can turn your brain off. You know, obviously, like, there's a lot of dumb shit in this movie, but, you know, good suspension of disbelief. It entertains you. But yeah, go ahead, Andrew. What do you think?
Well, honestly, for me, I kind of view all three movies as they all have the same level of quality, if I'm being completely honest here. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I love it. I love this trilogy. I love John Wick. Again, he's one of my favorite characters, so I'm gonna give this movie an 8 too, because I think they're all pretty much the same to me in terms of quality.
They're all solid movies.
They're all solid. They're not like the most well thought out in terms of writing or character development. Like even again with the first one, that's where you get the most, I would say, but it's not much more than the other two, if I'm being honest here. They keep a lot of shit vague. I'm pretty sure it's intentional because they want to focus on the action. Because you know these movies, like Rico was saying, they're dumb fun, which is kind of the point. So I give this movie an 8. The whole trilogy for me, 8s all around. You know, I think they're all, again, pretty much same level quality, each one.
Yeah.
They definitely do more each time. So you can take that in a good way or a bad way. I think it's a good thing because they're trying to make a franchise out of this, and I'm actually looking forward to the fourth one. I think we all are.
No, yeah, Donnie Yen, bro, come on, Ip Man. Like, I'm ready for those.
Bill Skarsgård, apparently.
Bill Skarsgård,
yeah. Oh my, that is like my favorite fucking guy, dude. Donnie Yen, I love this guy. Tony Jaa and Donnie Yen, man. Those are my favorite.
Oh my god, those two are legends.
Oh,
martial art movies.
Blade 2.
Blade 2. He was in it for like 5 minutes and then died.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, those blue ass lips.
2 sentences.
I mean, Rogue One. I'm one with the Force. With me. Like, come on.
Come on now, Donnie Yen. Flashpoint.
Regardless of how 4 turns out, Donnie Yen fighting Keanu Reeves, like, that's a W. That's a win.
Hell yeah.
I don't care. One thing I know for sure, the action will be spectacular.
Yeah, Chad's coming back to direct, so I
so
do anticipate the action being well thought out.
So obviously we're all very excited for John Wick 4, and everything we've been saying is just more or less our personal opinions. You don't have to agree with us, it's just how we feel.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, all these movies on IMDb are rated at 7.4. So like obviously like that's crazy. I rarely see like all movies on the trilogy on the same level, but I feel like, you know, they are all of the same equal level of quality, but
caliber.
Same caliber. That's the perfect word for it. But like there's better one. I mean, I still think Rico and I think the first one's the best. Andrew think the second one's the best. There's some people who think the third one's the best, and I think that's a reflection of people rating these movies. The ratio is very even, I feel like. So yeah, I mean, even with our ratings, they're not too far off. I mean, Andrew's a pair of 8s, 8.77 here, and Rico's at 8.67. So we're not too far off here. Same level of quality of enjoyment here. We're still very entertained, but yeah,
not bad movies in any regard.
Yeah.
Fun fucking
and
movies.
Everything we've been saying is just, it's all out of pure love for the fact that we just love this franchise and we love Keanu as John Wick. That's very apparent. Like we all love these movies, but we're willing to just point out the stuff we noticed and things that we didn't fully enjoy and things we really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's better than the Matrix franchise.
Oh, absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, we're going on 3 hours here, so we're gonna be wrapping this up here. The next recommendation, I believe, is...
it's me, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. I had to think for a second.
Yeah, I forgot
I'm
myself.
coming up here soon. We discussed it behind the scenes, but what we're going to do is we're gonna be recording 2 episodes next week. They're not gonna be released in that order, but yeah, we're gonna go with what Rico is gonna be recommending. So take it away, Rico.
So it's the month of December still. Hopefully this comes out during December, but the one that I have recommended is still in theaters. It's called is it Violent Night?
Violent Night.
Yes.
Violent Night with David Harbour.
Yeah, your new movie with Wick.
Yeah, exactly.
And then your recommended movie
is Sweeney Todd,
Hell
the
yeah.
demon barber from Fleet Street.
Hell yeah. Directed by
Tim Burton,
Tim
fake
Burton.
fan.
Tim
Burton. Fake fan. You lost your recommend. Matt, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So Violent Night and
Violent Night and Sweeney Todd, our first musical on the podcast.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And first Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tis the season, motherfuckers.
We might be a little late, but you know what?
It's fine. You know, it's the idea is what matters. The thought counts. You know.
Exactly. We tried.
It's still cold as fuck.
Yeah. 100%.
So if you guys wanna not be spoiled for that discussion, make sure you watch them. Or if you're a weirdo and you don't care about spoilers, then you can still listen to us.
Yeah.
I accept that as well.
Either way, just listen to us.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Hey, look at that. We're starting to become YouTubers.
We're doing that thing, huh?
We're doing that thing.
Yeah. Make sure
Next thing you know, we're gonna have a Patreon.
Yeah, I know, right?
No. That's quite a ways. We'll get there, boys. We'll get there.
But what can they
in the
follow
meantime-
us on?
Yes, they can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and those will be provided in the description below. So, yeah, I'm Matthew. Thank you for listening to another episode of another movie podcast. And, yeah, this was a fun one. Fucking first official trilogy, baby.
Yes,
Fucking
sir, we did it.
guys. Round of applause.
10 episodes in. 10 episodes in. We did
Double
it, guys.
digits.
We did it.
And I've been Andrew. These were my recommends today. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. We know this is a little long, but we were covering 3 movies, so yeah.
We still gotta cut 1 minute. Anyways, my name's Rico De Gallo. I do Practically Done. That's gonna be also linked in the description below.
Yep, and got all our plugs in. And can't wait till next week. Alright, bye guys.
Alright, later, dudes.
Bye.